Totes Recall.
Welcome to Totes Recall, the podcast where we talk about what? A movie.
Oh, no.
Not already.
And that movie is one we don't remember well.
Yeah.
And then after we've talked about it,
Yeah.
we push pause on recording. Or probably stop.
Okay, all right.
Eat 2 pizzas, 2 salads.
Nope.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you so much.
While we watch that movie.
I just pressed the space bar, by the way.
All right,
I don't know if it's like
You don't even know what it's mapped to?
It stops it.
All right.
Sure. And then after that process is finished, we come back down. We hit spacebar again, presumably.
I mean, we don't.
I usually push the record button at that point.
Oh.
Do I? Who knows?
Oh.
Find out in the second half.
Yeah. Beth's bet. She pushes the record button.
And then we talk about the movie, if we were right or wrong, how it looks through 2017 eyes. If we were wrong about, or I already said that. My name's Dan.
I'm Molly.
I'm also Dan.
And I'm Beth.
And our movie this episode
Yes.
is our spooky Halloween
Oh.
episode. Creep.
Organ music for some reason.
Wolf howling.
Oh, a fluttering bat.
Oh, a bunch of spiders are on me.
Maybe the moon is big.
Psycho.
It's Psycho. The movie
Movie
is Psycho. Not.
The original.
We have to say the original.
Yeah.
Everyone I've mentioned we were going to see Psycho with said which one?
Why would they think
Why
that?
would they
no
think-
one saw the new
Yeah.
one.
No one saw the new one.
Also, why would we choose that?
Do
I
they
don't
know how our podcast works?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
I mean,
Dan
I
just made
don't
it
explain
do
it
they?
as well as you do.
We could technically watch the new one because I'm pretty sure the new one is like
It's
nearly
shot
a
for
frame
shot.
by frame
But let's not.
reenactment.
Let's
I
not
mean, maybe
ever.
next Halloween.
Sure.
Oh no,
Because
I
we
really,
watch remakes sometimes.
I already want to preemptively say I don't want to see the remake for the anniversary show.
Okay.
I just don't. And I have to tell you, my grasp on this film is very tenuous.
But you hate the new one.
But yeah.
I just, I know the story, but I don't know if I know the story because I saw the film or because of popular culture.
Yeah.
Like it's even made its way into cartoons, so
Yeah,
I feel
sure.
like anything is possible. I mean, I'll be very excited when we watch the movie to find out whether I've seen it before or not.
Okay. Well, do you want to take a quick rundown of what you either remember from your life
Yeah.
or from people telling you about it or just some whatever?
So it
guesses?
stars, is it Janet Leigh?
I don't know.
Somebody
No idea.
famous. And she ends up at the Bates Motel because her car breaks down or something. And I don't know if there's a gentleman with her or not. But I do know that she gets stabbed in a shower.
Wow.
And there's that classic reet music. And you think that the guy who runs the hotel, the Bates Motel's mother, he keeps referencing his mother, but it turns out he is his mother, and he turns around in a chair and he's wearing a wig. Is that right? I know
we'll
that's what
find
happens
out.
in the cartoon. Yeah. I also will add that this is an unusual movie in that I remember behind the scenes stories better than the movie. So
Yeah.
yeah, I probably haven't seen it.
Like
Oh.
probably from like a Universal ride or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I for sure remember learning that blood is chocolate syrup.
On a ride?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh,
Probably.
the Universal tour. I just went on that recently. There's a whole thing about Psycho.
Like you're on a
drive-
roller coaster?
No, you're on like a tram
Oh,
or whatever it is.
that sounds
you know,
right.
and it goes into different. You go to King Kong
Sure.
and all that stuff. But there's one point where you drive by the Bates Motel,
Mhm.
and there's an actor sitting inside the house just waiting for the next tram to walk up, and
Uh-huh.
like the tram person's like, or the tour guide is like, "Oh, look out, there he comes," and then he walks up to the like next to the tram with a knife. It's terrifying. And then I like to imagine he just waits there until the train goes away and then just goes back to reading whatever book he was reading.
Yeah.
Or listening to this podcast.
Oh.
If you are a Bates reenactor,
Yeah.
Norman Bates.
a Norman Bates reenactment
Oh.
specialist,
Mhm.
tweet at us.
Please.
And let us know what book you're reading.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. You're book reading or listening to this.
Let us know
Maybe
if
you're-
you're listening to this.
Maybe you're doing
But-
both, in which case you're way too smart to be
Yeah.
like just waiting.
Do one or the other.
Like,
Cool it.
yeah.
Or,
Why?
or get a PhD or something.
Maybe
Yeah.
he is. Maybe that's how he's paying his way.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's good. Okay.
I mean,
you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
but if you were to lose track of time and not be there on cue,
Ooh.
like there's a line around the block of people waiting to take your job.
Yeah,
There's
that's
probably
true.
like a light that goes off or something.
Yeah, probably.
Or like
Oh,
a countdown
yeah.
clock.
Or just like your manager
Bates.
knocking on the wall.
Reet.
Bates!
Hey, Bates,
Get out there!
I like specifically looked at him for a very long time to see if he would break character while I could see him.
So
he
when
never did.
I need
I
to.
don't know how long he stood there.
Yeah, I need a little more detail. So, like, when you say he comes up to the tram and
Yeah.
threatens you with a knife, does he literally just raise the knife and then just freeze for like 30 seconds? Or what?
Yeah.
Really?
Like, because the train is moving by him. So,
Uh-huh.
like, if you're sitting on the right side of the car, there's like.
Pro tip:
you're-
don't sit on the right side of the
yeah.
car.
Also, don't sit on the right side of the car because that's where all the horrible things happen.
Ooh.
That's where Jaws pops up on the side,
Mm.
or Bruce, or whatever the shark's name is. And his name is Bruce. Don't worry about it. But yeah, he walks up to the car. The train is moving. It's like, oh, we gotta get out of here.
Mhm.
Because the whole thing is dumb. But but yeah, he stands there with the knife, and then he puts his knife down as the train goes away, and just stares at the train.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And then I was like, is he gonna break character? Never did.
Do you think he's a method actor and drives his partner crazy?
Maybe?
Does
That
he
would
have
be
a partner?
cool.
Is
Yeah.
he solo?
Who's his
No, I
partner?
just mean like his life partner.
Oh.
Yeah, like his roommate or.
Do you think that
people in
his
his life.
partner, he's like taxidermy?
Yeah, his partner
Oh,
is
is
his
that
mother?
what it is?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, this movie I saw when I was younger, and I totally called what was happening
Wow.
like very early in the movie.
It's because you had seen it in a cartoon.
Probably.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Here's
Wait,
what-
is she taxidermy? Because if so, she's very poorly taxidermy.
Yeah.
It's like a skeleton lady with a wig.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
But
Sorry,
like
Molly.
he
That's
loves
okay.
taxidermy. Like everything in the lobby is all taxidermy.
Oh.
There's like birds and stuff.
I
And
see.
it's weird.
Well, then he quits bet he did a bad job taxidermy his mother.
I mean, it's the ultimate taxidermy, right?
I mean, does she have glass eyes? Like, you know?
I'm pretty sure she's like a skeleton.
Yeah, she has a skeleton
She's a
face.
skeleton. Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
But it's still
Haunting?
haunting.
I mean,
it's as
sure.
haunting as those dead birds in the lobby.
Sure.
Ooh. So, because what I remember about the behind the scenes stuff is that
Mm.
apparently Alfred Hitchcock was unhappy with the actress's portrayal in the shower.
Mm.
And
Oh.
so, and I don't know if this is true, but the story is that he was really unhappy. He didn't feel like her screaming was authentic enough. And so he had them swap out ice cold water for the regular water so
Mm.
that he could capture her scream.
Ah.
And I remember hearing that story when I was a kid, and having never seen the movie, I feel like I already innately understood power dynamics and patriarchy because that pissed me off so much that maybe I didn't see the movie not because I'm a scaredy cat, but because on principle.
Wow.
But probably because I'm scared. But yeah, I mean, that's a really shitty thing to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't direct somebody, then maybe you're a bad director.
Do you think-
Otherwise, you're just a trickster. Oh, Alfred Hitchcock fans, come at somebody.
What the? Now you are being a coward.
Hitchcock heads come at me.
Dan puts his life on the line every episode for some fucking subculture of nerds. And you can't be bothered to get a couple of people angry with you?
Listen, Alfred Hitchcock heads are legion.
Yeah, but they might also, because they're Hitchcock, they're probably like, oh, Psycho is not very good. It's too mainstream.
Yeah.
I watch Rope every month.
Oh.
Or whatever.
Yes, rope is good.
Do you think also maybe he's creep supremin and he just like wants to do a lot of takes with whoever in the shower? He's like, oh, it wasn't good enough.
I mean,
Another shower scene.
My very not confident understanding of who Alfred Hitchcock was would let me to believe, yes, that is possible.
Yeah.
Creep Supreme.
He's like the Winston Churchill of film.
In what way? He's like a weird jubber.
Yeah.
But also, Winston Churchill was kind of an asshole. So
Yeah.
that's fair. I think
I mean,
that's
well
fair.
respected.
Like a
Did
well-respected,
good work.
older man asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's fine. All bodies are fine.
Yeah.
It's true. Oh, yeah.
Unless you're an asshole, and then we can make fun of your body.
I mean, that's kind of the rule.
Uh,
Is
yes.
it? Oh, no.
I mean, it shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah.
So, Well, no, because I thought about that because they did that nude portrayal of Trump, like that nude statue.
Yeah.
To presumably poke fun at him, and a lot of people were happy about it, but then a lot of people were like, well, this is just fat shaming in a different form.
Yeah. Like, I was okay with it because it was mostly about him having a little dick, and that seems like exactly the kind of thing that would, like, rile him up. But, like, I don't know if there's a not shaming way to make a statue that's just like, you've got a little dick. I guess you could just do that.
Yeah.
Like a statue of Trump and then just a sign that says, like a sign that says, I have a little dick.
That's what it says underneath.
Yeah.
Like the plaque underneath.
Oh, sure.
it.
There you go. This man has a little dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, yes, all dicks. Like, all dick sizes are fine.
Sure.
Like now,
I mean, they
dick
are
size
fine.
shaming?
That's the thing. See, the problem with trying to make assholes feel bad is that the things they are concerned about, like, only they're concerned about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I could go. This is not the place for me to
Yeah.
have my, like, 20-minute essay on the word cuck. But anyway, Psycho is about a lady who has a complicated relationship with someone, I don't remember who, and then for whatever reason she has to go to Bates Motel.
Yeah.
She steals money or something.
Is that what it's some kind of like a
Oh.
crimer? She's a crimer?
Yeah,
She's a crimer?
gonna- yeah.
Is she like
She
a-
runs away. And
she's like a reluctant crimer,
she's
right?
with some guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
does he
then-
force her into it? Classic man.
I don't
Ooh,
remember.
I don't either.
But
Jaquette's bet. The man forces her into it.
Yeah, I'll double down on that with the specific phrasing, reluctant crimer.
yeah. And then she goes to the motel
Right.
for the night, and then gets killed by in the shower.
Is the motel just like a wait here for me crime partner, or is it?
Are they on the lam?
I think she's driving away from her
Crime.
crime.
Oh, and she just gets like sleepy?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. I think it's just like this. There's vacancy at this hotel.
Sure.
No wonder there's vacancy if you kill.
Ooh.
You know.
Man,
Yeah.
good business model.
Ooh, Jaquette's
Check
bet.
in, don't check out.
Vacancy
Oh.
sign is creepy and flashing.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
It's
I
real
even know
creepy.
that.
Sure.
And then she's gone, and then her sister is like, "What? Where did she go?"
Oh.
And then she stops at the Bates Motel with some guy who's like the detective, maybe.
Huh.
And then they're like, "Well, her car is here," and then but it's not there. It's in the swamp in the
Yeah.
back. They find it.
Oh,
I
they
don't know.
find it?
I don't
I
know.
remember him
Yeah, I
sinking
think
the
they pull it
car.
out of the swamp.
Oh.
And then there's a staircase scene that's good.
I don't know.
That's
Like-
towards the end, right?
Like guy sneaks into the house
Oh, sure.
because he's like, that house has got to be it.
I think,
And
yeah.
then he like climbs to the staircase, and then something scares him at the top of the staircase.
Scary case.
Staircase.
Top of staircase.
I think it's the woman who's in the house. I think
Oh.
the man goes to go get help or something, and she goes
Ooh.
into the house, so she's by herself.
Ooh.
Oh.
And I think that's what the really scary part is.
Oy. So does this movie have too much exposition? Like birds? Come at me, nerds! How about that?
Whoa.
Good one.
Thank
I don't
you.
remember birds except for the end. So
I mean, I don't remember anything before they get to the hotel.
right. So if you aren't interested in that, if you aren't interested in non-motel scenes, then you could say yes, it has too much exposition because it's at least 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like too much. Get to the hotel.
Well,
I
I don't know.
It's good. It sets it up at
I
the
think that's like
beginning.
what part of the reason the movie's famous is because like it sets up this whole arc and then kills the woman like halfway through the movie.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's pretty good.
Like she's presented as a protagonist of the story and then just suddenly gets stabbed in the shower and then it's
Oh.
like, oh, what happened to the lady I'm supposed to follow?
Ah.
Oh, like Game of Thrones.
All right, I'm back
Sure.
on board.
Okay.
Good job, Hitchcock. Oh, Hitchcock is in all his movies. That's his thing, right? He
Yeah.
always has a self cameo.
Yep.
Yes.
What's it for this one?
Ooh, great question.
Someone behind a newspaper.
I'm
Molly's
also
bet.
I'm double danding on newspaper. Do you think
Um,
it's newspaper at motel or newspaper in the first 20 minutes?
In the first 20 minutes.
I might be
Oh.
thinking of birds, but I think he's running to catch a bus,
Ooh.
and he misses the bus.
Because he's reading that paper too hard?
Maybe, yeah,
Like he comically throws the newspaper up in the air?
yeah.
And he slips on a banana peel.
Just.
Well, I'm gonna say he's hailing and failing
Oh.
to get a cab.
Oh.
Hailing
Hill fail.
and failing.
Yeah,
Is the
the old
thing
hail fail.
Mhm.
is the thing where he is like, this hotel is the scene of a terrible crime? Is that in the movie or is that in like promotional materials for the movie? Do you know what I'm talking about? Any of you?
I don't think that's in the movie.
Okay, maybe it was for like the trailer. or
Yeah,
something.
because all the Hitchcock trailers are like not clips from the movie.
Yeah, because the
It's like
Psycho,
a separate thing.
I definitely remember there being something where Hitchcock is like standing in front of the hotel and it's just, or at the house or something. It's like, at this house there was a terrible whatever, and we're going to tell you about it. I'm Alfred Hitchcock. Or something.
And
I don't know.
Can anybody sing the tune of the Hitchcock song? Do you know what I'm talking about? Or it's like, maybe this for that show that he
Oh
had.
yeah, it is for the show.
Yeah.
And then he walks into the shadow of himself.
Yeah.
Fun music fact for me personally, I saw this movie years after that Busta Rhymes song came out, and I was like, oh, that's where that's from.
Busta Rhymes sampled Hitchcock.
Yeah.
The stabbing, like, beep, beep.
No, the like spooky violin music that like trails the lady everywhere she goes.
Oh.
If you want, I believe the song is called "Give Me Some More,"
Okay.
Ah.
but it heavily samples the violins from this movie. And if you've heard that song and you watch this movie, I'm looking at all of you. You will remember what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll post that music video on our totesrecall.com.
Sure.
Totesrecall.com.
where you check in, and then you can also check out.
Oh, good.
It's just
Okay.
a website.
And actually, you don't even have to check in. Like you
Yeah.
can just.
You can
click
just
on stuff,
You just click on stuff.
read things,
Yeah.
watch videos,
Mhm.
listen
Yeah,
to podcasts.
it's a really good way to waste some of your workday.
Absolutely.
Yep. You can become a patron there.
That's true. There is a link. There's a link somewhere on that page.
Bottom
I
right.
could just watch the most hesitant light bulb come up over Dan's head just now.
No,
Oh,
I'm smoothly easing into a Patreon promotion.
absolutely.
Donate $1.
Or $5.
Yeah,
Or more than that.
or more, however much you want.
I want to make a special plug for a very cool Totes Recall tote bag.
Oh yeah, it's a good idea.
Designed by our own producer, Beth Gibbs.
What?
It is so
Did you
cool.
forget?
I forgot I did
Did you
that.
forget that you did that?
Yeah.
It is awesome. And it is available at one of the levels that you could read about.
$20.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Okay,
Do you know
well,
that for sure?
I know that
So much-
for a fact.
Great.
Yep.
And you'll know it for a fact when you go to patreon.com/totesrecall.
Or totesrecall.com
And then
and
click on the
link
thing.
in the lower right.
Yep.
Oh man, Gertie is upset.
Sorry.
Or Gertie is upset that more people aren't going to patreon.com/totesrecall. Good job, Gertie. ABC.
I remember the end of this movie
Mm.
is just like a slow pan in on Norman Bates in like a straitjacket in
Yeah.
an insane asylum.
Yeah.
Like just being his mother
Yeah.
and himself.
Yeah.
And it's creepy.
It is creepy.
And good.
That actor is real creepy. Beth's bet. He's real creepy.
Dan's bet. I don't remember which lady it is, but he definitely creeps supremes through a wall hole on that lady.
Yeah.
On at least one of those
I
ladies.
think it's first lady.
if not both of them.
It's before. I think it's before she, because she gets into the shower, and I think you can see it from his POV. So
Sure.
Yeah,
that
first one would make more sense. Because then it's like the stakes are here at creeping.
Oh, sure. You just think like, oh, he's a
the
creeper.
stakes are stabbing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Stabbing stakes.
Ooh,
Stabbing stakes.
that's terrifying.
Uh,
Because they had that motel out in where was it? Where there was a couple that owned it, and they had installed peepholes in
Ugh.
all of the motel
Yeah, I saw like a
ceilings.
60
What?
Minutes or Inside News.
like
or
Yeah.
whatever
this
about
was
it.
one building, or they had like chains.
No, it was a motel. It was one motel,
Okay.
and then
Ew.
they meticulously recorded how people had sex in all of their rooms.
Yeah,
Creep,
Wow.
super supreme.
I think about that almost every time I'm in a hotel room.
Do you know how to tell if a mirror is two-way?
No.
Okay, what you do is you put your finger up towards it,
Mhm.
and if there is no gap, like with a regular mirror, when you put your finger on it, there's a gap between your finger and the reflection.
Mhm.
If there is no gap, get out.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Oh. That's a
No
window.
gap. Creep, attack. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something that
Very
rhymes.
mnemonic.
Great. That'll help everybody.
No gap. Creep attack.
Yeah.
Yes,
Put on a
gap
t-shirt.
in the clear.
I am concerned, and so this is also the behind-the-scenes thing. Is didn't Hitchcock intersplice a creepy skull to have a subliminal effect during the stabbing scene?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
That's a thing I've heard.
Yeah.
You always betting there's
I'm
a skull
betting
frame?
that. Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to see it, but I'll look it up online.
I mean, we should be able to see it.
Should we?
I mean, as much as people think how subliminal stuff works, your brain will register it.
Especially if you're looking for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
well, anyway.
Weird.
So, am I going to have trouble taking a shower after this movie? That's my real question.
I don't think so, as long as you trust the other people in your house.
Should I have washed my hair today already?
I
That's what I'm
mean-
wondering.
I personally did have trouble for a while after the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
Because then I was like, oh yeah, you are super vulnerable when you're in the shower.
Indeed.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go. There are 3 walls,
Yeah.
and
That's
then
true.
the murderer is on the other wall.
And
Yep.
like
Yeah.
you can't hear anything because the water's going.
Yep.
Yeah,
And you're
Ugh.
nude.
Yep.
Ooh.
yeah. It's a gotta lock up before you take a shower.
Don't shower.
Yeah.
That's our message for
Don't
today's
shower.
episode.
Yeah.
Only bath.
You're just as vulnerable in the
Well, you
bathroom.
can see what's going
That's
on.
true. You can
You're
at least
like-
see what's going on.
But then you're lying down.
Yeah.
You need one of those like old people baths.
Yes.
Where you like are just sitting.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
It's
legit.
like super
And there's
tall.
just a door.
And then you just have like a rifle on
Yeah.
your lap.
I
And you do it up on a hill.
yeah, so you can see everybody.
Yeah.
Always, if you're designing your own home, always put your bathroom at the highest point in your house.
Anyway.
Dan's bet.
I also was scared in the shower.
Dan's bet. The detective character will be very condescending to her sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
Like he'll
For
just be like
sure.
your standard whatever decade this is sexist.
Yep. Standard sexism.
Oh, we didn't talk about what year we thought
No,
it
we
was.
didn't.
Oh.
We didn't. I already know.
Oh. I'm gonna say
1954.
57. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I also know.
Cool.
Okay.
So I don't,
Like from your drive over.
Yeah, from my drive over, I feel like I really felt it. No, I feel like I know that it's in a 10 year,
Yeah.
and I want to say 60, but then I can't remember if it's 50 or 60.
Oh, fun.
Well, with my guess of 54, I've nailed it.
Mhm.
Great. Speaking of condescending to women,
Ooh.
how about the Bechdel-Wallace test?
Ooh.
Nope.
Ooh.
I think it might pass. I think the sisters talk at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a good.
Oh,
good
where
place
she's
for
like,
it.
"Oh, I'm going to this motel."
Yeah.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
if Norman Bates being his mom, does that count as a
No.
named character?
No.
I think she's
No.
just named mother.
And also
Ooh.
no.
Mother.
I think
Okay.
he just calls her mother.
Ugh, I already hate this movie.
Jesus.
I'll take Top Sisters bet.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh.
I think they talk at the beginning.
Great.
Because I think she's like, "Where are you going?"
Oh, sure.
I
Yeah.
can tell you.
Exactly.
And then she says, "I'm going to find a beau. He's very handsome."
Mhm.
Mhm. But then they're like, "My name is this."
Yes, exactly.
My name is that.
Right.
And then Hitchcock comes by. Oh, I need a cab.
Yeah. Oh, I'll have one
I'm
hot
on-
dog, please.
A banana peel.
I literally don't remember what he sounds like.
No.
He's British.
He is, but I can't remember like what kind of
was
British.
pretty.
Yeah, is that accurate? All right,
He's
good.
got a
So he has
kind
like,
of voice.
yeah, okay.
He has a creepy cadence.
He does have a weird. I remember that. I don't remember what it sounds like though.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm.
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 Is this? And we kind of touched on this earlier. Like for Hitchcock heads, is this considered like? Is this considered like a movie that like everybody likes, but in terms of like Hitchcock's oeuvre, it's like just okay? Or are people like, no, this is like peak Hitchcock?
Well, I have no idea.
Like I,
mean,
know it's famous and popular.
probably
but,
the most famous Hitchcock movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
All
But
right.
is it
I think
the
it's good.
best?
Who knows?
I mean, like, I don't personally think it's the best Hitchcock movie.
yeah.
Like, mine is Rear Window.
Is this
Mm.
early or mid or late Hitchcock? Probably early, right?
Earlier? I think early.
Oh.
Maybe.
Is that a
Yeah.
bet?
I don't know.
Sounds like
I'm
Beth's
not brave
bet.
enough to bet.
I feel like it has to be early Hitchcock if it's black and white and doesn't seem like it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a good.
Oh,
point.
Because
yeah.
some of his later movies clearly cost a shit ton of money.
Oh yeah, North by Northwest. Come
Yeah,
on.
man.
Yeah.
Airplane.
What?
There's
Right?
an airplane.
He
in
also
it.
directed the
Oh.
He took it. You know, he was ready for some.
Took a
fun.
risk. He took a risk. Yeah, in his later career.
Yeah, this is a pretty low budge.
Mm-hmm.
Is this what catapulted him to the top?
Sure.
That I do think that.
I'll
that's
believe
the
that.
case.
Because I'm pretty sure in like I honestly don't even know where I pick up the things I think I know about Hitchcock. So who knows how much of this is true? I feel like he was sort of toiling in like British obscurity in that he was doing great in England, but like the American market hadn't really latched onto him yet.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe this is what like shot him to the top.
Mm.
But I don't know.
Wow, it sounds like a bet to me.
Yeah, I'll take the bet.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Top shotter.
Top shot.
I bet the opposite.
That.
No, just to keep it interesting. I don't really care.
So what are you actually betting? You don't care?
No. Molly's bet. Don't care. That maybe this was, I don't care.
Like
You know what?
you're saying he already did well, and then an American studio was like, here's money, make this movie.
Yeah,
This is American Big Break.
I guess so.
USA #1.
Is that
Oh,
the name of the
geez.
studio?
Yeah.
This is American Big Break Studio. Get me Al Hitchcock.
Give me Allie Hitch.
Give me that Al Hitchcock. Or I don't know. I'm realizing I know nothing about this man. Now I'm wondering like if all of his movies were more finance
I
in
didn't even-
England. Or...
Honestly, I didn't know he was British.
Wow.
I don't know anything about him. He's a rotund fellow who makes creepy movies.
Yeah. Some of them aren't that creepy.
Really?
But they're exciting.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's made some good movies.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, given all of this important information,
Yes.
how many Crimer hotels?
Oh,
Ooh.
What'd
I
you
guess
give
it
it?
is a Grimer hotel.
It kind of is.
Yeah, except it only houses one crimer instead of all of the worst crimers.
Well, the Crimers come and go.
That's true.
Actually,
Well,
they
one-
come and never leave.
There's one Crimer incoming, and then there's a Crimer already there.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's
That's
a
two crimers.
resident. All right, I
Resident
stand
crimer.
corrected. There's a resident crimer and a crimer guest.
And really, that resident Crimer is two Crimers in one.
And you think about it.
Yep.
I don't buy it.
What?
He's not like possessed by his mother. He has a mental
Yeah.
illness.
Yeah.
But he has both sides. Okay. I want to watch the film first.
I mean, this
Alright.
is kind of a deep psychological talk.
We'll
but
talk about it.
I think he's still one person
Yeah,
well, he's one person
with a mental disorder.
yeah, for
But
sure.
does mother commit crime?
No, mother is
Mother's-
a skeleton.
Mother's
Mother
dead.
No,
is
no,
dead.
no. But does the
No.
identity of mother commit the
Commit
crimes?
crime.
Oh, only mother commits crimes.
Right.
Oh.
But it's
okay.
still Norman Bates. He's
Yeah.
not going to get off the hook. I mean, he kind of does because he pleads insanity.
I mean, we'll have to wait for the sequel when they show the trial.
Psycho 2, The Trial.
It'll happen.
Okay, how many Crimer motels?
Are you talking to me?
Yep.
Ooh, I remember really digging this movie, and society has told me that I should, so it's
Mhm.
probably actually a pretty good movie. So I'm
Yeah.
going to say 4 Crimer Hotels.
Ooh, nice.
I'm gonna say 5.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I really like Hitchcock movies, and I don't remember this one very well, but what I do remember, I enjoyed. So
Beth, you haven't mentioned if you saw this because it's on the AFI Top
oh,
100 and you've
it
watched all of
is.
those?
I believe it is.
But is that why you
Oh.
watched it?
I believe I think I've seen it twice. The first time I saw it at a friend's house, at a sleepover.
Mhm.
Mm.
The second time, I believe I watched it because I watched all 100 films on the AFI NVD.
We should get like a little bell to ring every time you say that.
Did anybody get any sleep at the slumber party?
Yeah,
Did anybody
Oh.
take a shower?
I remember thinking it's not that scary, but then I couldn't shower afterward. You know, like there's parts of it that are like that's really creepy, but some parts that are like, okay, whatever.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's much more just like psychologically disturbing.
Yeah, it's more
Then-
disturbing than scary.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Dan.
I am also going to give it a 4. I anticipate enjoying it, but I feel like there's going to be some stuff I'm like, who cares?
Uh-huh. Are you gonna be like the kids today and be like, it's just a boring old black and white movie?
I mean, I've got that in me.
Yeah.
I've got black and white hatred in me.
Totes heads. If Totes heads remember from previous episodes, Dan has mentioned that as a child he had to like learn that it was okay to like black and white
yeah,
movies.
yeah. I mean, maybe Casablanca will have changed me,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is a 5,
Or
whatever.
the African Queen.
whatever.
Also excellent. Or Chinatown.
Was an African Queen in color?
Chinatown was in color. African Queen was probably in
No,
color.
that wasn't in color. It's black and white.
Was it?
Really?
Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That's Ben African Queen is in black and white.
Go back and listen to episode 3,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
And tweet at us. Hashtag what that color.
Hashtag listen to your own podcast.
Maybe don't what that color.
Hashtag. Hashtag hump color.
Great.
Oh man. Okay. I am going to, for sake of controversy and because I really am unsure, I'm going to give it a 3.
Wow.
Cowardly 3.
Oh, you're checking into the
With-
cowardly suite.
Yes. And hoping that I will come out just gushing about it. Just in a...
Just like Lady's wounds did after
Yes.
being stabbed.
See, I was thinking it and I was trying to not go there. I will be enthusiastic in my description when we come back, I hope.
Great.
Or I'll hate it so much.
Which will be a joy for the rest of us.
And with that, we're going to hit the space bar, take a break, and we'll be right back. And we're back. We just watched 109 minutes of a classic Alfred Hitchcock film, Psycho. And it was real good.
Okay.
Oh,
there we go.
There it is.
Looking for a little of
I
that chaste
know.
judgment.
I agree. This movie came out in 1960.
Yay, cheater Beth.
Beth, who sort of remembered, half
Kind of
nailed
looked
it,
it up earlier this week accidentally, but
And then-
still couldn't remember.
was closest, I guess. She got the ones digit right.
What?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So all for you, for all you
Whatever.
math nerds
Oh,
out there.
wait.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, Beth, did you click the record button or push the
Oh,
space
great
bar?
question.
I pushed the record button.
Ah, so like
Oh.
moused over,
Yep.
hit the button.
Click.
Yep.
Cool.
Wow.
Great.
Nailed
All
it.
you
Cool.
record heads out there.
Yeah.
Come on.
It needed to be highlighted.
What?
Yeah.
Selected.
Oh.
Hovered over and
Hovered.
clicked.
Clicked.
Hover, click,
Does the
go.
cursor
Clickbait.
change when you hover over
It's
it?
clickbait.
Mm.
Clickbait motel.
Ah,
oh,
boom
that's gonna
done.
happen. God damn it.
Okay, let's run down Molly's predicts.
Yep.
1. Janet Leigh is in this movie.
Yes.
Nailed it.
Mhm.
Nailed it.
Bates Motel, and there's a car breakdown.
Well,
No.
I mean, the car breaks down in a swamp later.
No. Stabbed in...
The shower.
Yeah, it's not what I wrote, but...
What did you
What
write?
did you write?
Stabbed in
looks like stabbed in minor.
I think it says shower. I think that
shower.
says shower.
Stabbed.
Like the
Yeah.
S is sideways and
I
it
don't
kind of looks
know.
like
And the
an
H
M.
is like real low.
Yeah.
Anyway, you probably said stabbed in shower. Oh, and then there's re music. I
Yeah.
wrote that.
That's true.
Nailed it. He is his mother. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as that psychiatrist at the end
Ugh.
made very clear
Oh, talk
17
He
times.
explained that for way too long.
Oh,
We're like,
yeah.
yeah, we get it.
Jeez.
Ugh.
I was wondering. Well, we'll talk about it later. And then lastly, he turns around in a chair.
Yep.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
As far as we know, I don't know if you watched that part.
Yeah,
or
you
not.
seem to be covering your
But
face.
he doesn't
pretty...
turn around in the chair.
Well, there's a chair turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skeleton turns
Or
around
big
in the chair.
reveal.
It is
turnaround.
turned around.
Yeah.
By.
And you know
sister.
what, though? I think in my mind, I had pictured that it was him in the wig,
Yeah.
not the corpse.
'Cause it
So I
happens
think I
in
got
the
that
same
wrong.
scene.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
doing like a James Bourne style reveal of a villain.
Yes.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Great. That was the movie.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Cool
Okay,
podcast.
well, great.
And
Good
we
podcast.
are
And-
done. This movie's great.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of good shots. I feel like that's not
Oh.
something that I pay attention to, or maybe they're not as good, or maybe Hitchcock's just distinct. But like, there's a lot of like, oh, good shot. Like we were saying that a lot. That's
Yeah.
a good shot.
Yeah. He has a lot of stuff that you don't. He had one specific shot that I've never seen before, but he has a lot of stuff that you don't see very often, I think. He really like thinks about placement
Yeah.
and I think now when you're like, ooh, that's a beautiful shot, it's because most of it is like CGI'd and like made to be beautiful
Mhm.
rather than like, here are the items we have in a room and people and shadow and yeah.
Yeah, he's very, like, you can kind of tell why he was as lauded as he is, because he seemed to really be able to use the limited resources that he had to create interesting imagery.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's funny because I think about, usually if I'm watching a movie and I notice the shot, I feel like if I'm noticing the shot, then it's not a great sign. It's like noticing the script.
Or noticing the like weird angle choices in a Batman
Yeah,
movie, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or even, Steven Spielberg likes to do the wink and the nod with like the objects in the mirror closer than they may appear. And, there's some of that feels really clever. All of this felt, and I feel like a real dum-dum trying to talk about Alfred Hitchcock movies. But I felt like all those choices were really emotionally resonant. And I love that the first thing you do is that you're sort of a voyeur and you're peeking out from under the shades into this personal couple space, right? So you start out and you start out with the side of a building and you zoom in and you get to see this couple very exposed.
Yeah.
It feels very voyeuristic, which is foreshadowing for the voyeurism that happens later.
Indeed.
But yeah, no, it was all like really cool shots, and there were only a couple that I was like, that seems just kind of cool for cool's sake, but I don't mind.
Yeah, can we talk about that one with the undershot of his chin?
Yeah.
There's like a point where Norman Bates is there's a private eye that comes to the motel and asks,
Arbogast. What was his name?
Arbogast.
Arbogast. And he asked to see the the guest book.
The register.
I couldn't remember what that was called, so I went with guest book. The register. And Norman Bates is eating a bag of candy. And there's a shot where he leans over to look at the register as the private eye is also looking at it. But it's just like a shot underneath his chin for like a long time.
And
While
it's like
chewing.
horizontal.
Yeah.
Like it's below him, but it's not right below him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like a bird thing?
I don't know.
Oh,
or like you're
eating
watching
like
him
a bird?
swallow or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the bird swallow?
Ah, the bird named Swallow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just wrote your thesis for you.
Great.
You're welcome.
Okay. I mean, that could be.
Yeah.
I mean,
that shot was weird.
It was weird, but I don't know, like that seemed like it was too odd of an angle for it not to be like a deliberate choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that
it
might
almost
have been like he's got a little too far. Like reel it in a
Yeah.
little, Hitchcock.
I mean, it might have been like if you think about seeing this in the movie theater, it might have just been like he just wanted to make you unsettled by Norman again. So it's just like, what if his entire neck took up 90% of the screen for like a long time?
Well, it does make him almost. You never look at anyone from that angle,
Yeah.
so it almost makes him look like inhuman.
Yeah.
So that's
Monstrous.
that's interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there are like a lot of the shots are so close up on
Yes.
people's faces. Like in the theater, like that must have been insane.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine can you imagine seeing this back when it came out in the theater and like it cuts to, it's like, when it pans over to the drain where all the blood is flowing down and then just like fades into Janet Leigh's like gigantic eyeball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so unsettling.
There's a
Ugh,
couple giant
so
eyeball
good.
shots.
Mhm.
The other one that's really good is when Norman Bates is creeping through the hotel hole.
Yeah.
And there's just like a side view shot of like his giant eye and
Yeah.
the hole, and that's the entire frame.
Yeah.
It's looks really fucking cool.
Good
Good job, Al.
Good stuff.
Good job, Al. Oh yeah. While we're still talking about cool shots, I specifically noted there's a point where Miriam, who's Janet Leigh, is like driving through the night, and like she keeps having these like hypothetical conversations of her, like of the other characters that she's interacted with running through her head, and like it gets darker and darker outside, but the lighting never changes on her face.
Mm-hmm.
So like it just like like every time it cuts back to her driving, like her face, like her terrified face is just more and more like the object of your focus, and like as it gets darker, everything else just slowly fades away, but the lighting never changes like right in front of her face. It's very cool.
Yeah, you only see her relaxed and happy for the first 3 minutes of the film, right?
Pretty
When
much.
she's with Samuel in that hotel room, which is very racy.
It was.
It was racy.
I mean,
Underpants.
it was just right
There's
there.
a lot of her in her underpants.
Yeah, and a lot of Sam just like leaning out a window, half naked.
Yeah,
He like kept going back to the window.
I was thinking about that. I was like, if this movie were made today, would she have just been naked?
Yes.
Like that was just like as
for
naked
sure.
as she could be in that point in time.
Yes. And
Yeah.
Sam would have been like at one point when Sam was leaning out the window, like you would see his like perfectly toned buttocks.
Yeah. And that pelvic bone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's better with them clothed.
yeah.
I mean, if I were directing a movie,
Mhm.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just feel like it's less like it is like more like it shows that intimacy that they have,
Yeah.
but at the same time it doesn't take away necessarily from it's not like distracting like
Right.
put some clothes on.
I appreciate that the way that Sam was shot when he was leaning out that window, it's implied that he is basically just hanging brain out to anyone walking the streets of Phoenix, Arizona. Because he just got his dress shirt on. And they make a joke out of it when she leaves. She like looks down. It's like, you have to put your socks on or shoes or whatever it was. And he's clearly still naked from the waist down.
Swinging
Whoa.
pipe.
And keeps going back to the window. Like he went back to that window like 4 times.
You gotta air it out.
Air it out.
Furious hotel lovemaking.
But I mean, I don't know.
You just gotta go back to work.
Yeah.
You gotta air that stuff out before you go back to work.
Yeah.
Boy.
I
You
mean,
wanna be-
obviously, this is a classic film, but it is bothersome to me that her killing is so sexualized and such a like she's naked and it's very intimate and intense.
Mhm.
And the only other murder that happens to happen during this is the killing of the private detective,
Mhm.
and he just gets clonked on the head with something heavy.
He gets stabbed.
Fully
in the head.
Stab in
suited.
the face.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think hers, I don't know. To me, I mean, there's clearly the part where he's like looking in at her, but I almost never feel like he's. I mean, he's looking at her. Because
Did you not
he's-
listen to the psychologist
He's
at the end?
attracted to her,
Yeah.
right? But I do feel like it is more like she's so vulnerable
Mhm.
in that state.
I guess so. I know. I guess I feel like so much of movie making continues to be though about women who are both being victims of a crime and who are sexy about doing it,
Sure.
right? Like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
crime against women is sexy in a way that crime against men is horrific, you know?
Mhm.
And I don't know, like, I mean, obviously this film was from 1960, but we're well into the 2000s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Pretty far in.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that's changed.
Yeah.
Well,
that's true.
yeah, and it might be like, I think what you're saying is it hasn't changed, and it's like obviously since this movie happened in 1960, and it's like this one of the most famous murder scenes in all of film.
Yeah.
Like maybe think of something else
Yeah.
than like killing a naked lady, right? In
Yeah.
2017,
It's been done.
it's been done.
We've
Like
knifed a naked lady.
it was done really well over 40 years ago.
It's true. What, there were like 70 different shots, and it was shot over 3 days, that 3 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Jeez.
I mean, I did a web search.
Sure.
Oh, also, I am happy to let the listening public know that is a false rumor about the cold water on
Oh.
Janet Leigh to get a reaction.
That's good.
So she just nailed
She's
it.
just a great actor.
She's a great actor, and Hitchcock was not manipulative. And apparently, there's this other rumor out there that he didn't tell her character was going to die.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's not true because I would assume it's in the script.
You think?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would shoot that scene not knowing.
We're just going to do 3 days and 70 angles of you showering.
Yeah.
Also, here's some chocolate sauce.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, you guys. So, can I just say one thing about this shower scene also?
Yes.
Is that there is a very slight amount of blood. The chocolate syrup,
Yeah.
you're correct.
Mhm.
There's very slight amount of blood, and they spend like a lot of time with Norman Bates cleaning up
Yeah.
the crime scene.
Yeah.
lot of
like
time.
a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
Like maybe too long.
Yeah. I honestly was thinking like this is boring. It's like, oh, maybe it's arty, and
Yeah.
I for real couldn't decide whether it was a great scene or a terrible scene.
Mhm.
Oh, I
How
thought it was
long?
great because
Okay.
it made it real, right?
Yeah.
That he's not just like you're not cutting to something else. Like his tidying up of it was so specific.
Yeah.
And trigger warning for anyone who cares a lot about pets or is worried about gunshots. Fast forward for 2 minutes. My friend's dog got shot in the head
Oh.
during a
Oh.
home invasion,
Ugh.
which was horrifying, absolutely horrifying. And so they came home to the situation on their back porch. And the police, they'll do some things, but they won't do a lot of things.
Mhm.
And one of them is they weren't going to take it to forensics or anything, but if we could take the dog into the vet and get the bullet removed, they could use it as evidence if something else happened in the city. Anyway,
Was they not going to do that?
what?
They won't do that?
The police won't do that?
Yeah.
No.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, right.
mean,
So anyway,
wow.
so me and 2 other really close friends came over, and we were like, "We'll take care of it." And so, and you know how I feel about animals on screen getting harmed. This was like really gruesome. But you know, like I don't know. I think if you're doing it in the service to your friend, it's very easy to do in that way. And so we were I couldn't take off the dog's collar, like I couldn't bring myself to do that, but I found myself able to clean up like blood and brains and stuff off the floor. And as I was cleaning, I was like, note to self, do not ever try to commit a crime, because all those places where there's grout and any little divot in any of the tile, blood does not easily come up. So like you can't just get an old mop and like mop up and wash
like
down
a white towel and it's fine.
Yeah, like, and as you really can't get to all of that. So I encourage, first of all, keep your pet safe, and I hope nobody ever encounters that. But also, please don't commit a crime, and if you do, don't expect to get away with it, because holy shit, it is really hard to clean up after that stuff.
Yeah.
Also, just like, because it's horrible to do.
Yeah.
Don't
Totally.
break into people's houses or
Yeah.
kill their dogs.
Yeah, totally.
Or just like in any way perpetuate that sort of violence
Yep.
that would allow blood to seep into anything.
Just for the Totes Recall PSA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. There is a follow-up.
Okay.
Yeah, it turns out that the suspects in that situation were shot as part of a home invasion.
Wait.
So,
They
what?
invaded another home and got shot?
Yeah. They'd done a string of crimes. It was 4 people.
They were doing the invading.
They were doing the home invading.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
and
took
they
it the
got
other way
shot.
too.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I was like, wow,
No.
dramatic irony.
And McGruff came for them.
Oh no, it's so
Wow.
dark. But
Dark for
anyway, yeah. So they were. Some of them were critically shot, and I think one of them survived but went to jail.
Jeez.
So
Wow.
that bullet became evidence in that other crime.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. So do you think there was
Sorry, it's so
well, like
dark.
the way you started this though, like I sounded like you were saying there wasn't enough blood, right? Is that what you were saying?
Oh, for this murder scene,
Yeah.
there's not. I mean, in my mind,
Yeah. I mean, she got stabbed multiple times.
she got
Yeah, I
stabbed
mean-
multiple.
For sure, the wall should have any blood
Yeah,
on
like
it.
when she like kind of drags herself down against the wall.
And it's spotless.
And it's clean. I'm not really sure actually what he was cleaning up at all.
So my question is, because that's what I think, because you were saying like the fact that the cleanup takes so long is sort of what makes it convincing. Like I almost wonder if that was a specifically like mandated limitation. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like maybe the producers or the studios like you can't have blood splattered everywhere. Like
Yeah.
we'll never be able to show this to anybody.
That I believe.
That makes it well, and also, I mean, the other part of me was like, well, if Norman Bates is trying to adopt the character of his mom is clearly a tidy person.
Mhm.
I can imagine him being strategic and not creating a lot of blood.
Yeah,
right?
or just not being as forceful in his stabbing either. If she's a
Yeah.
frail old lady, maybe he's like pulling his punches a little bit.
God.
I mean, it's like clear that it's going to happen in the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he's showing her around the room, he goes like, and in there.
Yeah.
Like he can't even say the word bathroom. And like that part to me was so perfect because it's like he's done it before. Like that is where he kills people, is in that shower, because the water's already running and it makes it easier to clean up.
Right. But you
Yeah.
think he's just like a weird prude at first.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't seen the movie, you're just like, oh, he's just like a guy who can't conceive, like he can't verbally conceive of a woman using the bathroom because
Yeah.
that's weird to
Because
him.
he's so awkward.
And he's like so awkward. Yeah.
And he's so good.
He is so
really
good.
good.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Like from scene 1 of him.
Yeah.
Just like this dude
Oh,
gets all your attention.
Creep supreme.
Yeah.
And
You
he's
just
creep
feel-
supreme.
I
But also you feel
don't
bad
think
for
he's
him.
that creepy at first.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
He's like so sweet.
It's just
at first.
uncomfortable.
And he's like a good looking guy and
Mhm.
like is like, oh yeah, here's your room, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he like starts talking about his taxidermy
Yeah.
and that's where it all
But
goes
even at the
downhill.
beginning, though,
Yeah.
like I feel like even in when he's first introduced, like he did such a good job of just being like just slightly off with his social cues. Like
Yeah.
the way he interacted with her, like everything was like a little delayed or like
Mhm.
just a little, I don't know, just off kilter.
Yeah, and you forgive so much, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, this guy's
He's
just a little
awkward
just a
loner.
It's
Yeah.
very easy to, Whew, that I have to say that scene in the parlor. So
Yeah.
he insists on bringing
Oof.
her what is it?
Sandwiches and milk,
Yep.
which I like felt ill about.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
I
Dan
don't
had
know.
a visceral reaction to it.
And then it didn't help that when he brought it, it was like literally a gallon of milk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
so
then-
much milk.
The sandwich was like in like a saran wrap.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, wax paper.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which there's also a wax paper sandwich at the beginning.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
So I assume sandwich means sex.
Oh.
And then also that creepy ass dude that has the $40,000 to begin with.
Oh, I
Skeevy
wrote that.
Cowboy?
Skeevy
Walks in-
Cowboy. I wrote
Skeevy
that down.
Cowboy
Oh,
walks
he's
in
so
and
good.
says it's as hot as fresh milk in here.
Mm.
Which I don't know if that's a normal expression.
I loved Skeevy Cowboy so much.
God, what a creep.
It's so creepy.
Yeah.
And he was wearing like a 18-gallon hat or something. Like it was just so much higher on the top of his head clearly ended, and then his hat continued for at least another 4 to 5 inches.
He's he says the most horrific things to what's her name? Marion,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it cuts to her coworker.
Oh, so
Oh.
good.
Which is like my favorite moment in the
Yeah.
entire movie because she's just like, like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then he walks into the other room with her boss and
Oh, yeah.
closes the door and she goes, he was flirting with you.
Oh,
Like, duh.
Yeah.
What?
And then she was like, he must have seen my wedding ring.
Yeah. It's
Oh.
not flirting. He's just like harassing her.
yeah.
Well,
Oh.
it's so funny. I was just like, it was immediate too. Like he just like went over and like sat on her desk.
Yeah. He like puts his hand too far onto her desk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's a weird, just like now your space is mine
Yeah.
power move.
Very much so.
And
Ugh.
he really wants her to look at a picture of his daughter.
Yeah.
He keeps calling his baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Mhm.
18 years old.
Yeah.
She's a grown adult.
And getting married.
Mhm.
Yeah, gross.
And he's giving her this house paying with cash. Like everything about it was so slimy and disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess, helps in her mind to justify taking money from the
Right.
slimy, disgusting guy.
Yeah.
She's not
Yeah.
taking it from an orphanage or something.
Right. It's not like a nun comes in and just like, oh, we're buying a new church
Boss,
building.
to help the orphans
Yeah.
get to school.
But then the nun still sits on her desk and gets way too in her face about it.
Would you like a sandwich and some hot
she
milk?
was flirting with you.
last to confession, my dear. Yeah.
You were having sex in a hotel room earlier. I can sense it.
You smell like a sandwich.
Yeah, I loved Skeevy Cowboy. I loved Carolyn, the secretary lady.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Oh,
other
she did
secretary?
have a name.
She did have a name.
Did they speak to each other? They did about the
They
money.
did.
They
That's
did, but here's my
tranquilizer.
question for you.
Okay.
I looked into this because we were desperately trying to figure out if this movie passed the Bechdel Laws test.
Mhm.
She is named only in Marion's like paranoid hypothetical conversations later in the movie.
That's real though.
Does
Yep.
that count?
Yep.
Yeah,
She's a
the
main
movie,
character.
the movie named her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they talk about my favorite thing, which is
Pills?
Yes.
Yeah.
Other secretary, administrative assistant, offers her a tranquilizer for her headache that her mother gave her on her wedding night.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
What is that? Like you're gonna have sex the first time and it's gonna be a bummer for you? Take some tranquilizers?
Probably.
Is that line of thinking?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Yeah. Too bad.
Yeah.
That is too bad. I am sorry, women of the 60s and
Today.
today. All time. All time.
All time.
Men are the worst.
Oh, boy.
Here's the grossest cowboy you've ever seen
Yeah.
creeping on you. Now I'm going to tell you how I had to take tranquilizers on my wedding night. And that's a normal thing in my
I
life.
feel like with Skeevy Cowboy character, like all I could think was like there is probably at least, I'm gonna say at least 25% of 20-somethings working on Wall Street to this day are exactly like Skeevy Cowboy.
Oh,
Oh.
for sure. He's the Wolf of Wall Street. But a
But
cowboy.
yeah, and in Phoenix,
Yeah. The
Ugh.
cowboy of Phoenix.
Yeah.
yes,
Oh,
that's his
big
nickname.
Pistol of Phoenix?
It doesn't matter. Anyway, she steals 40 grand from him because she's a badass,
Yeah,
and
she's
she
a-
wants to get her lover Sam Loomis out of debt so they can get married.
Yeah.
Oh, but she's such a bad crimer.
Oh, she's so
Oh.
bad at criming.
Everyone's bad at everything in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's
That's
her
true.
first time criming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's not going to be great at it.
There's so as she's driving away, there's a whole series of scenes where she's being followed by this cop, essentially.
Yeah.
He was great.
She pulls off the side of the road to go to bed because she's getting too sleepy, and she wakes up and there's a cop leaning in her window. And that shot is amazing.
Oh yeah.
His face takes up the entire screen.
And like
Yeah.
the lighting was so the lighting was so cool because any scene that he was in, his glasses were the darkest thing on screen.
Yeah.
No matter what, like the entire time he was in the movie, his glasses were crazy dark. I almost wonder if they painted them and that actor couldn't see.
I would believe that.
Yeah. But she is just like, she could not be more suspicious.
Oh, it's amazing.
Like,
Mhm.
everything she says is suspicious. The first thing she does is try to drive away from
Yeah.
the cop.
A cop is knocking on her window. She starts the engine.
She's like, oh, and just starts driving.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. Although you believe that she and her sister have the same kind of like life or world frame.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Because I think she's pretty sassy with that cop.
Yeah.
Where she's not,
She's
I
just
mean,
nervous.
she's nervous, but she's also like, I don't care to be here anymore. Do you
Mhm.
have any, reason to keep me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she kind of calls him on his shit, but he, clearly she can't stop him from following her.
Right.
Yeah. And then she, in front of a cop, sells her car for a new car,
Yeah.
which that completely defeats the point of,
Like getting away from him.
yeah, of getting, like, he's standing across the street the entire time.
Like super
Also,
obviously.
That shot I thought was incredible.
Mhm.
Just like every time they cut to him, it's like his car's parked on the side of the road and he's just leaning against the car and traffic is going by in front of him. But it is like so intimidating.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Him just standing there. I was like, that's a great shot.
Can we jump back to the side of the road, stop for 1 second, and discuss her incredible spy move where she deliberately turned away from the police officer and very deliberately took the
Yeah.
wad of money out of her purse so that she could get her license.
Yeah, there wasn't anything suspicious
No.
about that.
Not at all. Like, I certainly, if I were a police officer, I would never be suspicious of a driver who very clearly turned their back to me and then rifled through their bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as she was leaving the car lot where she had traded in her car and had done no negotiations and was just in a hurry, even if she had anyway, it doesn't matter. Does no negotiations, is trying to get out of there. She tries to drive away without her suitcase and coat,
Yes.
which are in her old car. And she does that in front of everyone. And then as she drives away, there's like the three men all stand kind of at this amazing angle.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. It was just,
It was
I don't know,
cool.
patriarchy?
Sure.
Yeah.
Can we
Three
talk
pillars
about
of
one of those
patriarchy?
three men right
Oh,
now?
Yes.
please, let's...
California Charlie.
California
California
The
Charlie.
car dealer.
Selling used cars.
The car dealer who has the weirdest like sales method I've ever seen. Like, he literally walks out, gives the longest, like the most long-winded opening salvo I've ever heard, where it's just like, oh, you're gonna be trouble. They always say the first customer is always trouble, but I don't believe that you're trouble. Like, he just keeps going. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, buddy,
He kind of
just one and done.
is like negging her and
Yes.
then immediately undercuts himself.
Yeah.
And backpedals on it. Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, it's great.
I bet he sells cars like hotcakes.
Like
though.
crazy, and I love how this might just be because he kind of talked like Bing Crosby. Like, I kept thinking he was just gonna like break into song,
Well, he did have a bow tie.
right?
Like a barbershop.
Yeah,
singer.
he had a bow tie, he had a wonderful baritone voice, and just like kept going off on these weird tangents for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
California Charlie.
I mean, and every time when he was insisting she take it for a test drive
Yeah.
because he didn't want her to say anything bad about California
Charlie.
That's where I honestly thought that was going to be the plot twist, is that she took the car without pre-driving it or taking
Oh,
it
and
for
it
a
was
test
like-
drive, and it was going to
Oh.
break down at the Bates Motel.
Ah,
Maybe that was in an earlier draft, but probably not.
maybe.
Yeah, he's a trustworthy fellow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
California Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
All of California has bestowed upon him.
He got there first in the nickname pool.
Yeah.
And he got to draw this whole state.
Okay, so when they're in the parlor, when Norman and Marion are talking in the parlor, we kind of touched on it, but I feel like we should explore that a little more because it
Yeah.
was Creep Supreme. Like, that was when like he just completely lost any pretense of being just a weird guy. Like, he clearly became like threatening in that scene.
Yeah, and there's this beautiful, really like low shot with like creepy owl taxidermy in
Mhm.
the
Yes.
background.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a like a long sustained monologue of him sliding into being creepy and
Mhm.
aggressive. And I don't know, his language is so it dances around. It's very controlling.
Yeah.
Like he's always sort of backpedaling a little bit, but then showing that he like is also a threat,
Mhm.
and then is nice again. I
Mhm.
don't know. It just felt like very realistic of a creepy dude
Yeah.
who was manipulating the situation
Totally.
super well.
Like there's a great moment where she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to bed," or it's like, "Oh, you don't want to spend a little more time and talk with her," and then she like starts to give an excuse, and then he just like puts his hand up, like, "It's fine,"
Yeah.
and then does this weird little smile.
Yeah.
He said, I wrote down one of the weird things he said at one point when he was just talking about how like people suck. Basically, like once she said something about like putting his mother in the madhouse or whatever, like
Yeah.
he kind of immediately turned.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
She says somewhere.
Someplace, yeah. But at one
Someplace,
point
yeah.
he says something about how people cluck their thick tongues, and I was like,
Oh,
that is
yeah.
the grossest sentence I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gave me like the chills.
Yeah.
Just like, ugh.
Ugh.
Yeah. He also, I think it was in that monologue where he says the famous line, "We all go a little mad sometimes,"
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then Molly immediately said, "Okay, I'm out."
Yeah.
And, like, covered her face and looked at her phone.
Yeah, during a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also says in that one, forgot it.
Oh, I wrote down a
Mother-
boy
yeah.
is a poor substitute for a lover.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yes,
Oh.
that was awful.
Ugh.
A mother is a boy's best friend.
Oh,
or a
yeah.
boy,
Something like that.
something, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, because
Ooh.
she asked if he has any friends.
Yeah. Ooh, there's
So
a,
the
yeah.
mother is a
There's a
boy's
lot going
best
on in that
friend.
scene,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's
something like
great.
that.
That dude crushes so hard.
So hard.
It was really great. Was there no lock on that fucking door?
Which one?
That room number 1 door must have never been locked, even though he gives her a key.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't
well,
lock it
I
when
mean,
it's empty.
I think there are 2 keys hanging on the hooks.
Yeah.
when
Oh,
he
gross!
grabs
So he just
it.
gives her one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also the window's open.
Can't we just all ask for every key?
Well,
And I'd also like the master key, please.
I mean,
I'd like
that's-
every single plastic key that you have.
Right.
it's pretty standard hotel business
To
that
have a key to
the hotel people can get into any room.
Right.
Like, you know that, right? About
Have you
Ugh.
never realized that?
That's why you have that little like
Yeah.
Thing.
metal one that you can close.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not
That's
testing
not-
every mirror from here on out.
Sure. Well, make sure every bird
Bird
painting
photo.
is also not a
Oh, those
peephole
bird
or whatever.
paintings.
Well, it's the peephole's across from the bird.
Oh,
paintings.
right.
It's probably just in the wall.
Mhm.
I don't know how you figure those out. I mean, if they're really cheaply done, then you turn off all the lights and you see a pinhole of light coming through.
Right.
But if they're doing a good job, they got a little slider thing over,
Ooh.
and then you can't tell.
A slider thing over?
Like to make it so it's dark when they're not looking
Yeah.
through it.
Just like a little. I
Ah.
don't know, it's in some other movie.
And if
where
they're
creepy.
really good at it, they replace the eyes of a painting.
Yeah.
So really what you should be doing is making eye contact with paintings as you walk by
Yeah.
and to see if they follow you as you
Yeah.
I
walk.
get
Like
it.
flipping the finger at them.
Yeah.
Speaking of Molly having hilarious reactions to the horrors of Norman Bates, there was this incredible moment where Norman, or I guess Norman as mother, had killed Marion. And the scene that she was talking about earlier that you really liked, where he's like cleaning up, and they're making this he's taking this very
Yeah.
deliberate choice of like cleaning up everything.
Mm,
Like, you know, we're basically watching a man like make a woman disappear.
yeah.
And then only when he pulls the car up and opens the trunk do we get a verbal reaction of Molly where she goes, ugh, too spacious.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like the trunk disturbed you more than anything else in that scene.
The 60s American opulence. They'll drive tiny electric cars.
Don't they know that the planet is warming up? And we're driving these boats everywhere.
I think honestly that speaks to my hope, like against hope that there would be some obstacle to his plan.
Oh, sure.
And so
Oh.
when he pops that trunk and he's got all the space
Like,
in the world.
he literally could fit her, all of her luggage, and probably another set of luggage if
I
he
mean,
wanted
I
to.
was like, oh, this is how people snuck into drive-ins.
Right?
Like you could get 4 people
Yeah.
in there. Ugh. Anyway, so I think that was just I was holding out hope that there would be some kind of obstacle.
And then
like,
would she come
oh,
back
no.
to life?
No, I don't
or be like
know.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Like everything was just so easy for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was a really easy thing, and I didn't want it to be. So
Yeah. I mean, it was easy. I think it was, in that situation, it's so easy because it shows he's done it before.
Mhm.
Because I bet the first time he did it, not so easy.
Yeah.
Just like her committing crime.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
so easy.
Yeah,
first
like
time.
the first time he did it, probably the next guest that came over, he's like, "What? I don't know anything about a swamp. There's no cars there."
And it just peeled out of the parking lot.
Speaking of first-time crimers,
Yes.
we bet that, or someone did, that the man would make the woman a reluctant crimer. No.
No.
She's
No.
a strong, independent first-time crimer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's kind of a dud.
Yeah,
Samuel Loomis or whatever.
Sam Loomis. Yeah,
I mean, he's fine. He does a good job, but he's kind of just like, at one point, the sister, who is great,
she's
a
great.
real brassy broad
Yeah,
of the Chessie style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kira Miles.
absolutely.
Asked him, like, well, did you say, what should I do? Or, or what can I do?
He's
are
yeah.
we
So
gonna
at
do?
this point, the private investigator called them and was like, "I'll be back in an hour or less." Like he made it very. There was a pause, and he said "or less," and then the sister said he said an hour or less like 18 times.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "All right, well, we'll go ourselves."
Yeah.
And Sam is like, "I'll go." And then she says, "Why can't I go with you?" And as he's putting on his coat, he just is like, "I don't know." And that's the argument. Like, that's it. It was amazing. It's like they distilled all of like patriarchal bullshit in one scene. It's just like, "Why can't I do this with you?" I don't know. And then he just goes and does it anyways.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But then look, he fucks it up when he goes alone. He's like, "Oh, there's some lady telling me I can't come in the house," and I came back. And it wasn't until Sassy Sister's like, "That's dumb. We need to keep
Yeah, we
investigating
need to go
this."
back. Well, first thing, okay, we should talk about Abergast.
Abracadabra.
Abrogast, who has the best lean in the movie.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, I didn't
please.
realize this movie was going to be about men leaning. Like, I didn't realize there was going to be, like, I could write a thesis on men leaning, but we need to talk about men leaning.
Yeah. Abergast comes into the hardware store where
Sam works. Yeah.
And he just, like,
Oh.
arms crossed and does, like, probably, like, 20-plus degree lean onto the counter.
Amazing.
And he's leaning into something, which makes me think that he did the lean and he's like, just keep doing it.
Yeah. Like,
Jabbing into my back,
He
but
did-
you know what? Stay cool.
yeah.
Stay cool.
Like, it looks like like a cat, like, trying to play it cool, like, when they fuck up. Where, like, he doesn't realize the counter is so low behind him.
Yeah.
Because, like, it seriously just looks like no one should have. Like, I just feel like when you look at the angle he's at, no one in their right mind would have seen that counter compared it to their own body height and be like, "Yeah, I can lean on this."
Yeah. But he owns it.
It's
He does.
He
incredible.
owns that lean.
He really does.
Yeah. And then we get some more good leaning at the end.
Yeah. Well, even Beth mentioned the cop lean. Like,
Oh,
even that was
cop
good.
lean.
Like, just the little
Yeah.
lean on the car.
Yeah.
That's a good
Oh,
lean.
yeah. So many good leans. Oh, Abrogast. I don't know. I just want to talk about his lean.
Oh, he was the victim of the scare case. that
Oh
you
my
died
god, the
about.
staircase was the scariest part of this movie for me. Like my back just rippled with tension
Uh-huh.
when it's a bird's eye view shot, and then
Oh, that's
mother
scary.
comes running out
Yeah.
like super quick,
Yeah.
with like hardcore violins,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and stabs him in the face, and then he falls down, and they do that weird not falling fall thing that looks a
Yeah.
little cheesy now, but
Yeah.
How
probably
did they
look
do
cool then.
that?
I don't know.
What's the setup?
Some
there?
kind of
They pull
Lens
the camera angle
thingy,
back
yeah.
while something else is zooming in.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they move the camera physically forward while zooming the lens back.
Something
or
like
vice
that, yeah.
versa.
Okay.
yeah. Like when they did that, like it was even cool when they did the reverse of that, where he was going up the stairs, and they did like a weird thing where like it was this very
Yeah.
unsettling, like distant scenes of the floor.
Yeah, but I don't know. That scene really got me, and I wouldn't. If someone was like a top-down shot of people is gonna freak you out, I wouldn't believe them.
Yeah.
But this did it.
It's good. I also was freaked out by that, mostly because I forgot that it happened.
Yes.
I did give Molly a false sense of security when I said no one else dies in this movie.
That was a
Very
lie.
confidently told us.
Yeah,
that.
it's like, no, she just dies and then they come in and
Yeah.
whatever.
And
Nope,
then like
there's
less
another-
than a minute later, mother comes screaming out of that door and stabs him in the face.
Oh my gosh. The blood,
Yeah.
running down his face.
Mhm.
Ooh.
It's terrifying.
It's great.
It is.
Yeah, this movie was really good at creating tension out of not a lot.
Yeah, Mother's room was creepy
Ooh.
AF.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the things she had in there were weird.
The whole thing where the sisters exploring the house at the end was so unsettling.
What were those praying hands?
Oh,
What was
that was-
that?
That was
real weird.
I
fucked
think
up.
it was like a jewelry box, but that was on the top of the jewelry box.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just
There's
like a
like
sculpture of two
two
disembodied hands.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It was really gross.
Man.
And like the closet, all the clothes in the closet to me looked like they were just like so old and like had been sitting there for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, and the bed.
Yeah.
The bed had a depression in it of like how the body had been laying there.
For God knows how long.
Oh gosh.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's gross.
And then his room was still like the room of a small child.
Yeah,
And
that
he
was
just like
weird and
slept on a
creepy.
cot in the corner.
What do you think was at the end of that scene when she's exploring the room? She picks up a book and she looks at it
Yeah, I
And
don't
they-
know.
Yeah.
and
That
she's
was
like
weird.
shocked by it, but they never like say
Is that his
what.
journal?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
I
I
thought
don't
it
know.
must have been his journal. But I think there was also something disturbing about that book because it didn't have a title on it and you couldn't tell
What
because there
was
was
it?
just like a filigree
Yeah.
little thing at either end of the spine. And so as she flipped it, there was just something unsettling about not knowing which way the book was up.
Right.
Mm,
And I think that was it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just
but
like
she picks it up like she's never seen a book before. Like it's like, what is this strange object?
Maybe-
My first thought was like she was gonna look for money inside,
Uh-huh.
like it was gonna be carved out, you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know.
Maybe back in 1960, that was something like everyone's like, oh, one of those creep books.
A no title creep book.
I mean, it was just like that throat scene. It was just
Yeah,
like
maybe.
meant to make you uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just throw
Yeah.
some
By
weird shit in
emphasizing
here.
something. Yeah.
Mhm.
I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Most of, I'd say, the movie.
Yeah, like there was definitely, like for the second half of that movie, like there was definitely a pretty like constant sine wave of like whether or not you were putting your hands up on your face and moaning.
Or just deep in your phone.
Or just
Well-
deep in that phone.
Listen, that's to keep me from getting too nervous.
Molly, you and I bet there would be a creepy flashing vacancy sign. I don't think there was.
No, well, it wasn't
That was-
flashing. I will say it was creepy.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
That shot was really creepy.
Hmm.
It's raining outside, and so the shot is through the windshield with like it's like kind of blurry and stuff from the
Mhm.
rain. It's creepy.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
dark. Yeah.
It's
So
hotel
I
vacancy.
think that's a good.
12
good
rooms,
bit.
12 vacancy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh,
Ooh, creeps.
Creep.
so we killed them all
Creepy.
I don't think there's any skull frame edited into the.
at the very
Near-
end.
You said in the.
It's not in the shower scene,
No.
I guess.
It's more of like a dissolve over his face, right? Isn't that where it kind of was?
Sort of.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a layer. It's like layered on top of his face.
Yeah.
Kind of a
Mhm.
flash of a skull. I don't know. Like, I mean, you
It was
would
his
notice
mother's
it, but
skull.
Right.
It was like his
Oh,
mother's face
yeah.
flashed with his
oh,
face.
Yeah.
that skull is
Yeah.
so creepy.
Yeah.
And they turn her around, and her eyes are all sunken in. And
Mhm.
Oh, and you remember he talked about the chemicals before for the
Yeah.
taxidermy?
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
And then when he appears in the doorway, that's another. That was real scared me too.
Mhm.
When he like jumps in the doorway. But then Sam Loomis wrestles the knife
Yeah.
from his hand, and there's like a little over the top transformation.
I honestly think that was like, it was like just in case the audience doesn't understand what's happening. Like, we need the wig to fall off, we need the dress to come undone so you see his dress shirt under it.
And
Yeah.
then we need a psychologist to
Yeah.
explain
For like
10 minutes.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Because that guy started talking, and I literally said, "I hate this guy." But then by the end, I was real on board.
I
'Cause
loved it.
the amount of times that his hands went in and out of his pockets, and then he like
Just-
leaned on stuff.
Oh, yeah,
and
great lean.
pointed,
Great
just
point.
like always moving.
Yeah, he was.
always explaining the entire movie essentially.
yeah.
And I did think like, is this the first time most people have been exposed to the idea of multiple personalities in horror movies?
Yes.
It must have been.
Because now it's like a trope
Yeah.
in everything.
Because I was like, yeah, I get it. Like, within the first, 10 seconds of him talking, I was like, yeah, you don't need a whole monologue to explain what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like watching that to me was like watching many seasons of Lost, and then you finally get to one of those final episodes, and what's his name, Jacob or whatever, sits down and just tells you everything,
Yeah.
and it's the thing you thought you wanted, like the whole series, and then when it actually happens, it's so boring and stupid sounding. That's how I felt about this whole monologue.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. But he delivered it
He
with
delivered it
chutzpah.
such, there was such panache to it.
Okay, so while he's having his Columbo moment
Yeah.
and he's explaining all this, he is so ice cold.
Oh, yeah.
To the sister.
Very
Yes.
insensitive.
She doesn't know if her sister is dead or alive.
Yeah.
And she says, "Is my sister dead?" And he says, "Well, or did he kill my sister?" "Well, yes. And no."
Yeah.
was
And
his
then
answer.
walks away from her and does another couple of points and leans.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Such like
He
an
gets to
asshole
it.
grad student.
oh, it really was. To the point where she even had to, I think, ask
Yeah,
again.
and then she goes, "So."
And then she's not allowed to have any reaction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, which is so weird because I mean she's such a composed character and like a real ass kicker and a very cool character.
Yeah.
But she really loved her sister,
Mhm,
right? Like
mhm,
all
mhm.
of this ferocity and courage comes out of this love. And like in that last scene, you kind of get robbed. Like I don't think she has to emote or scream or anything, but I really didn't feel like talk about the crime not being about the victim at all. It was
Mhm.
all about Norman Bates.
Mhm.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
I
I
mean,
mean,
go
I
ahead.
mean, I get it, but I mean, that to me it felt like robbery.
Yeah, it was probably Hitchcock and all the other men who paid for this movie being like, well, a man has to explain at the end, or else the audience isn't going to get it.
Well, and not even Mother got to explain for herself.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to hear her voice do it. We had this exceptionally long monologue from a dude to give us the information.
And like,
Yeah.
I love how this actor, like, he knew this was his one scene, and he fucking just went for it.
Yeah.
He chews it hard.
yeah, he does. And you can almost tell each moment where he was like, and in this line, right pocket.
I got obsessed with watching his hands go in and out of his pockets because it was like these very deliberate choice of like, and now here's where I'll put my hand back in my pocket and point upwards while I
Yeah.
explain that he isn't actually a transvestite in the
Oh,
traditional sense.
that was hard.
Lean slightly on the wall, both hands in pockets.
Yeah. I wonder if you like diagrammed it out. Was like, what are all the possible combinations of hands in pockets, pointing and leaning?
I love the
Can
idea
I
of
do
him.
all of them?
Yeah, I love the idea of him walking around his apartment the night before the shoot. It's like, okay, and then I put my hand
Yeah.
in my right pocket.
Oh, for sure he did that. Like, it looked choreographed. The hands in pockets.
I love it.
And a right point and a hand in the pocket.
Oh, I hope he has little musical score. that he
Like to
plays.
keep it in
Yeah, to
order.
keep it on time.
Yeah. Oh, I would love it.
God. But
Yeah.
because the happy moment after all of this is we get two little things. We get one, an officer comes in and says something like, basically, the suspect is a bit chilly.
Mhm.
May I bring him this blanket?
Yeah.
And then with that, you get to see my MVP.
Oh yeah.
Door guy?
Signing
Door guy.
Yes.
Yes. I wrote that down as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, this actor does not have any lines, but he puts everything in a beautiful, subtle way, but he puts so much into this.
Yeah.
And there's certainly judgment about really you're going to give this guy a blanket.
It's almost like an eye roll. Like, yeah, you guys watch this whole movie? That's wacko. Like,
To be clear, we're talking about the guy who stood guard at the door,
At the door, but did
Right.
not speak.
and then he looked in and out of the room like 12
Eight.
times. Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved him.
Yeah,
I
it was
loved
great. Because every time he looked in the room, there was a little bit of like his face would change. Just was like, "What the fuck's this guy's problem?"
Oh yeah, he was great.
He was great.
For
Door
sure
guy.
an MVP.
Door guy was definitely an MVP. Oh boy.
Then we should, if we're talking about MVPs, the chief of police for whatever small town. that-
Oh,
man.
yes, Sheriff
but also,
Charlie
his wife.
something.
His wife, yes,
his
for
wife
sure.
is also amazing.
Oh, Sheriff Chambers.
Sheriff Chambers,
And his
And
wife.
unnamed wife.
unnamed wife.
Literally, when they were like, we have to go to the law enforcement. Literally, it cut to this guy in his like with his amazing eyebrows and his oddly printed robe, and both Dan and I just immediately went yes because we knew that this middle-aged actor was going to bring something to the table.
He's the one that pronounces Abrogat's name Abrogat.
Gas.
Abrogat.
All right, what you and I just love how he was just so condescending the entire time, just like like he was dismissive of private investigators.
Yeah.
Like, well, you should have brought it to the police many days ago.
Yeah.
He probably took you off the scent so he could run off to find your sister and the money. Eyebrows, eyebrows, eyebrows. And then his wife would say something like, I knew him from church camp.
Yeah. But that is like the pinnacle of his like, I'm a shitty dude move. And he finally acquiesces and like, okay, I'll call the hotel. He
Yeah.
just like turns to his wife
Oh.
and nods, and then she has to ring the phone
Yeah.
and does like like 30
Yeah.
seconds of work
She's
to
a
just
house secretary.
hand him the phone?
Amazing.
Oh,
And it
come
was
on,
like
Chief.
it wasn't even like, oh, let me dial and hand it to you. Like she tells the operator to connect with Bates Motel, and it isn't until Norman is on the phone that
Yeah.
she hands it over.
I don't
to
think
him.
he knows how to use the phone.
You think that's what it is?
I think he's incompetent.
Maybe, or he's like it's the same thing with PI. He's just like, you should just write your thoughts down on paper and send them to the person you want to talk to instead of talking to some tube.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie is all about male incompetence,
Yeah,
right?
true.
Yeah.
Like, the sister has to convince everybody, like, hey, something's wrong
Yeah.
here.
Mhm.
What's her face has to, like, get money to, like, pay off her boyfriend's debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Norman Bates can't even kill someone without pretending to be a woman.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, her boss seems all right. Sam is
seems-
kind of boring, but he seems to miss the point.
Yeah. Her boss is all right. He, like, gets that creepy cowboy's a creep.
But he's
But he
also
doesn't
like,
say anything about
Doesn't
it.
no,
do anything about it.
Yeah, he's just like, well, this guy's giving me money,
Yeah.
so I'll just let him
Yeah.
harass my administrative assistants.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'll go drinking with you. That's what we're doing later.
And
today.
then he also, I mean, he sees her, like, driving out of the city stealing
Yeah.
money and kind of just, like, looks around confused.
Yeah.
Huh?
Wait a second. You're in a car?
Well,
She said she was going home.
yeah, she said she was gonna like, oh, I feel ill. I'm gonna lie down for the weekend.
Oh,
So that's why
true.
he was confused.
Okay.
But he was also right, like a woman driver.
What is this? The future?
Oh, and there's this very cool moment because the purse she has at work is a white purse.
Oh, yeah.
And she puts the money in a white envelope in her white purse. And then when she gets home and you can tell she's decided to commit a crime, she swaps purses to a black purse.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Which is probably why she had to hide it from the police officer later.
Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
a primer purse?
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. What color is that purse?
You can't see it. I'll block it with my body. All right, I won't do anything about that.
No.
I mean, as creepy as that cop is, like, he doesn't really do anything.
No, he's not really a good cop. All he does is follow her around, and then she, like, clearly is, like, being very suspicious, and then he's just like, well, I'll let her go.
I mean, to be fair, it is 1960. She's a white woman.
Yeah.
So he's probably just been like, whatever.
Oh, yeah. We didn't talk
Yeah,
about the
what
incredible
harm could
privilege that
she
she shows
cause?
when she gets pulled over by that cop.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
She tries to drive away. All he does is slightly step in front of her and go, hey, please.
yeah.
She turns away from him.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yep.
We bet that all I wrote was condescend to women. I think
Oh.
one of the male PI would condescend to
I
women.
thought, I didn't realize that there was PI and Sam would do stuff. So
Yeah.
I conflated the two and assumed the PI would be the guy who was like, why can't I go along with you? I don't know. But it turned out that Sam was actually more condescending. The PI was actually mostly condescending to Sam.
Yeah.
Like, he was pretty nice to the sister.
That's true because he suspected Sam.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
both did.
hmm
Mhm.
I mean, you know that lean was to intimidate Sam. It was
Oh,
in no way to impress the sister.
And it
Oh,
worked.
She's
definitely worked.
unimpressible.
Yeah.
She's very cool.
And then Chief was very condescending as well.
To literally everyone.
To everyone. Oof.
And didn't you get the impression that in this movie the undertones were, and look how single they are, these strong-willed women? I thought it did. Because maybe the story wouldn't work if they were married, right?
Mm.
Because then their buffoon husbands would get involved.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like, she's been working there for 10 years. To me, the subtext of that is no woman at that time wanted to be working for 10 years. You worked maybe 4 or 5 until you found a husband.
Yeah,
right?
I mean her entire choice to become a crimer was an act of desperation so that she could get married
Yeah.
to Sam, because he was like, "What? I'm gonna we'll get married. You can live in the storage unit that I sleep in together or whatever."
Oh,
Because
and
his whole
then-
thing was like, "I'm still paying alimony to my ex-wife, and we can't get married." Blah, blah,
What are
blah.
you going to do? Lick
Yeah.
the stamps? And she says, I would do that.
Right.
And then he, like a modern man, is like, oh no, she likes me too much. I'm going to ghost her on texts.
Yep. Or in this case, I'm gonna go stand by the window and air my junk out.
Yeah.
Same
Oh.
thing. Same thing.
We should open up the old segment bag
Okay.
and do an episode of Did They Bang?
Oh.
Did
they
they
bang?
bang?
Wait, who are we talking
Did
about?
they bang, 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 bang.
The sheriff and his wife? Who are we talking about?
Probably
Not for a long
Probably not.
time.
Sam and Meredith, what's her name? Marion?
Marion.
Are they banging?
Jana Lee.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I mean,
They
all
were
their
in
underwear
their
still on.
underpants, and he was clearly naked under
You don't
the.
think they just got to second base or nothing?
Come
Oh,
on.
come on.
Oh, no, they were like getting dressed.
Okay.
I thought you meant Sam
She
and
was
her
like,
sister.
I have to go to work.
Oh.
Mm.
I don't think they banged.
No.
No.
Sam-
There was so much kissing in that first scene, too.
Sam's a straight shooter, if a little dumb.
Yeah.
He's not cheating on
I
them.
mean, he doesn't lean at all.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
He does do. Okay, now that I think about it, though, he does sort of foreshadow men leaning. Because the first time that he gets off of the bed, he sits in the chair. He has his dress shirt draped over his crotch, and he kind of does this weird, like, well,
Yeah.
as in answer to one of her, like, dumb lady questions. I'm putting that in air quotes. So I guess he's, I don't know. All the men lean except for Norman.
Oh.
Ah.
He probably does some leaning.
Yeah, he probably does. I don't
He
know.
I
does,
don't
like...
know.
He does a lot of like
He
furtive.
does a
thing.
weird
Like-
He's so
leg
lanky.
thing at one point.
Oh, he
Was
really
his leg
walks
up?
sassily up the stairs.
Oh,
Yes, when he's going up the
yes.
staircase, his hips are just in this
Do you
very
think he's like
tight little.
he's transforming into mother and he's
Oh.
feeling his feminine body?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Just
Yeah.
shake
Like,
his
hip
hips?
swing,
Yeah,
hip
maybe.
swing,
Yeah.
hand and pocket point.
That actually might have been the point of that scene.
Yeah.
Now that
Yeah.
I think about it,
I mean,
Yep.
that dude crushes.
he really does.
It was unbelievable.
We bet about Alfred Hitchcock's cameo,
Yeah.
and I think we were all wrong.
Yes.
He just is standing on the street.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
And
like
he
doing
through the
trips on a
window.
banana peel.
No.
It happens right after he cuts it.
Oh.
I feel like
Cut that part out.
he could be Halen and Phelan for a
Yeah.
cab.
Could be.
I mean, he is standing on the street,
Yeah.
looking at the street for some reason.
Yeah, probably looking for a cab,
He
right?
Yeah.
might have a newspaper under his arm. We don't know.
He's
Or-
probably shocked by seeing Creeper Cowboy
Probably.
walk past him.
Yeah.
And he's like, that guy's real creep.
Yeah, he's like, oh, what uncouth American. Not at all what he sounds like.
Probably is.
Yeah, he didn't do a ton in
Yeah.
his cameo. I thought maybe he would at least move. You know what I mean? Like, at least like do any motion in this frame. I
Oh.
don't know.
And then we also bet there'd be a creepy ending with Norman Bates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
It's
Which is
really
great.
creepy.
He just sits there.
With Mother's internal dialogue
Mhm.
about
Oh,
how
yeah.
they'll never figure out that she really did it.
Yeah.
If she stays still. I was
It's
slightly
like
confused.
So at one point, you're
Allow
probably
a
just,
psychologist to explain.
yeah, you were
it to
probably
you.
distracted by the pockets and the pointing. But he said that like the mother personality had like basically completely overtaken him.
Yeah.
So like yeah, Mother was sitting in that room and was thinking, and in the Mother monologue explains that Mother like basically gave Norman up for the murders.
Oh, okay.
So as far as Mother is concerned, they don't suspect that she actually killed these people.
Okay. So Mother doesn't. Where does Mother think Norman is then? Some other place in the police
Yeah.
thing? Okay.
It doesn't
great.
matter.
But then, yeah, slow zoom in on him, and then when he fucking looks up and
Right at
stares
the
straight
camera.
down the camera,
Ooh.
it's like, ooh.
Creepy smile.
Shivers.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Shivers.
Yeah.
Ooh. Perks.
Shivers.
Anthony Perks.
The AP.
Great job.
Great job.
Yeah, because she has that whole thing about like I wouldn't even hurt a fly.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
so
Like
yeah, that's
literally,
creepy too.
literally the fly that's crawling on me right now. I
Yeah.
won't even swat this fly.
That's such a great visual because I just think of like flies on like corpses.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really great.
Oh yeah, I guess she spent a lot of time not swatting flies.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I have a question now that we're talking about mom corpses.
Okay.
So
Great segue.
it's explained to us that Norman takes Mother's body
Yes.
and they bury a weighted coffin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, like, you can just do that back in 1960. You can just like walk into a mortuary,
I mean, it's
pick up a
small
corpse,
town.
dump a bunch of rocks in a coffin, and no one's gonna look.
I guess
I
not.
guess so. I don't. Yeah, I don't really know
That's
how
so where
that
she's
works.
buried.
Yeah,
Is
and
she
I
buried
guess
on their property.
I guess he could be like, I want a closed casket funeral because I'm the next of kin and I get to say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
guess they'll be like, okay, fine,
Yeah.
and all right. I think it's the switcheroo part that I'm like harping on. It's just like at some point he would have had
There
to
was one of those spacious trunks
probably.
that are so dangerous to society.
Ooh, and he probably what he did is he probably went to the funeral director and was like, I have these sandwiches and this gallon of milk.
Oh,
And the funeral director got sleepy after drinking all that milk.
Yeah.
Just took a nap, and
Yeah.
at that point, he snuck out Mother's body and brought in, I assume, a wheelbarrow full of bricks and dumped them into the coffin.
Yeah.
Ugh.
God, I just find and I'm sorry if any of the three of you are these people, but adults who drink milk, I find it unsettling.
I have a question
Dan,
for
guess
you.
what I did last night?
Did you drink a big glass of milk?
I did.
How big?
Beth.
Like a full glass of milk.
Do you have a bunch of sandwiches too?
I had some cookies.
Sandwich cookies?
Milk and cookies.
Sandwich cookies?
For dessert
Sandwich
before
cookies?
I went to bed.
Were they sandwich cookies?
It's a delight.
Were they sandwich cookies?
What do you mean sandwich cookies?
Like
Like
Oreos
Oreos
or
or
like
sandwich
No,
a...
they're just like chocolate chip cookies.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Homemade
I have a question for
or...
you.
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, that's
I
actually
just-
follow up.
Yeah, homemade or store-bought?
Store bought.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Chewy,
like
crunchy?
fancy
I mean, I
store-bought?
can. It was like Chips Ahoy. Don't.
Chewy,
Oh,
crunchy?
Like chewy, crunchy.
The cookies are
chewy.
fine.
Chewy.
Like, eat
Interesting.
cookies.
Really?
I
Now
switch
you're
it-
getting judged for cookies and milk.
Here's the thing. I switch it up. Sometimes I make cookies. Sometimes I buy cookies. Sometimes I get the crunchy one. Sometimes I get the soft one.
I'll give
I-
cookies and milk as an exception.
All right.
I have a question for you.
Like I wouldn't just be like, oh, I'm gonna have a large glass of milk
Right?
like
Yeah.
dinner.
See? That's creepy.
Some people do that, though.
Right? And come at me, milkheads. Segue. Molly, I want to slightly apologize to you for calling you out for your cowardice in telling people to come at you. Because I know it is my male privilege to be able to tell people to come at me on the internet.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
and
that's
they probably
true.
won't.
Yeah, because at any time you could just pretend to be your mother and murder them.
Right, exactly. You can't pretend to be your mother.
I have a
You're
question
not
for
a man.
you.
Yeah.
You are a notorious tea drinker.
Yeah.
How do you feel about milk and black tea?
Oh.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Okay, so as like a garnish.
Oh, so if there's like dead leaves in it,
Here you go. Just grab.
come at me, tea heads.
Go grab some leaves from the yard, Beth. Crinkle them up into your milk,
Yeah.
and then Dan will be fine with it. You be like, it's tea.
Yeah,
No, gross.
I like milk. It's just like ice cream.
I get offered a
Oh.
glass of milk every time I'm at my in-laws,
Uh-huh.
like with dinner.
Ugh.
Like that's a
What?
thing.
It's a very like
Here's the
Midwestern.
thing. Here's the thing. I will drink a glass of milk. I will do it. I'll drink it with dinner even.
Ugh.
But I would not offer someone a sandwich and a glass of milk. That would never, ever happen.
All right.
I would be like, would you like a LaCroix?
And a sandwich.
Some chips.
Yeah, and like,
Make
I don't
your
know.
own sandwich.
I have some Chips Ahoy.
In
the
what
cupboard.
scenario would you offer a guest a glass of milk?
If I had made cookies.
Okay.
Oh.
Or if they were a small child.
Sure.
Or if
Yeah,
they're-
that's what I said. Adults, like kids drink milk. Maybe
Yeah.
that's where it comes
Does
from.
anybody drink warm milk to fall asleep? That
Ooh.
freaks me out.
I have done that before, but
Did it work?
Nothing works for me.
Oh.
That's why I did. I'm like, sure, let's give this a shot.
I might have a hot chocolate,
Sure.
Okay.
which is warm milk with chocolate
Chocolate.
in it.
Yeah.
Unless you go to a fancy French cafe and then it's literally just chocolate and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It is too much,
It
but
is.
it's so good.
That's why it
I'm
comes in
drinking chocolate.
tiny glasses because America is terrible. Come at me, portion heads. Do you? Okay, I'm really just in the weeds with you and your milk thing. Is there going to be a point where your son will reach a certain age
Oh.
where he will ask for a glass of milk and you will be like, "No, sir, you are a grown man."
No.
Okay.
Because yeah, in reality, it's fine, and I'm not going to be that controlling over
Sure.
my child's like fine things that I just find weird.
Yeah.
But the better question is, will there be a point where I find it unsettling and weird? And probably.
Yeah. Okay. Follow-up question to that then.
16 maybe?
Sure. Okay. Okay. So then this is my follow-up
Even
question
that's a little
for you again.
14.
14. Okay. So your son is 14. He goes to go.
Why is he asking at 14? Why is
I'm
he
moving.
asking
I'm
for
changing the
a
scenario.
glass of
I'm
milk?
changing the parameters of the scenario for this follow-up question. Okay. So you're in your house.
Yeah.
Your son comes home from school, goes to the fridge, pours himself a glass of milk. Do you keep it inside or do you comment on it? Like even like in a passive aggressive way, like, "Oh, a glass of milk, huh?"
Yeah, I'd probably make a joke.
Yeah.
About it. It's just that's the way it's gonna go. I thought the situation was I come downstairs and my kid's just drinking a big glass of milk in the middle of the night, and I imagined that I got real freaked out. Hello, father.
Well, sure.
Gloop, gloop,
I mean,
gloop.
if he's making direct eye contact with you and not breaking it the entire time,
Sitting in the dark drinking a glass of milk.
petting the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
The cat would make it better. Just like standing and drinking milk in the dark.
Oh,
That's my new
I
horror
mean,
movie.
standing and doing anything in the dark would be unsettling.
You think that having the cat would be better in that scenario?
Yeah, then you're like,
He's standing in the dark, petting a cat, and drinking a glass of
Well, at least then you're like
Standing.
engaging with the cat, right?
If
Like,
he's
at least then it's like,
sitting-
oh, hi, cat.
But he's not engaging with the cat because he's still making direct
eye
eye
contact.
But, like, before Dan came down, he was engaged with the cat, right?
God, no, he was staring up at the stairs.
Oh.
He knew father would be
Oh,
nice.
I mean, yeah, the eye contact is the worst part of that situation.
That is the worst.
Yeah. So basically, I
It
think.
goes eye contact,
Yeah.
milk,
Yep.
dark,
Yep.
standing cat.
Okay.
That's,
So really,
the
what I
order
mean,
of the creepiness.
what I think all of our listeners can conclude from this journey we've taken is you're terrified of making eye contact with your child.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's the window to the soul,
Right.
and you'll see me for the fraud that I am.
Oh no. Wow. Okay. Someone out there, please Photoshop the scene at the end of Psycho where Norman is looking right at the camera. Photoshop him taking a swig of milk.
That would be so much worse.
That would be amazing.
Like, eyes come up, eye contact,
Brings up the
comes
milk.
into frame. That, if I did a shot-for-shot remake, which we haven't talked about yet,
Yeah.
that would be the only change I would make.
Throw in the milk scene.
Throw the milk at
Yeah.
the very end. And then maybe other hand comes up and there's a sandwich in it.
I have a question about those sandwiches.
Yeah.
What was on those sandwiches?
Oh, yeah. She's just buttering bread and eating buttered bread. Like,
Yeah.
not a sandwich.
Because at a certain
I thought
point,
it was a mayonnaise sandwich.
well, that's what I was so confused. Because at a certain point, it looked like, at one point, it looked like she was either eating a slice of bread with a very thick piece of cheese on it, or
yeah.
a gigantic slice of butter. Right? Like there was like a very thick non-bread substance on the top of that bread.
Yeah, she is not getting sandwiches, I will say.
Did she open the sandwich up? Is that what happened?
Well, then she's the creep.
eating like a bird. She took the top
Oh, that's why
piece
it's
of
like a bird.
bread,
But then
and
that's
she was
not
just-
how
she
birds
was
eat.
just tearing
But
it
then what's
apart
she
like a little
spreading on
bird.
there? She's
Butter.
spreading
It's definitely butter.
So she's got a
Dairy,
cheese. She's got a
come on.
cold cheese sandwich.
Yes, with
You have
milk.
something against dairy.
Then she opens, spreads butter on
Yeah,
one
man.
half, eats it, and then eats the other half.
Yeah,
Have you ever
and
had
then
buttered bread?
Okay, she
She's
deserved to die.
distracted.
oh my god.
What did you say? What did you say?
I said she deserved to die for eating sandwiches.
Shut
So
your
weird.
face. You shut your pie hole. No, she did not.
She didn't even drink the milk, man.
Oh, okay,
Listen,
back-
she was
back
too
it up.
creeped out by the conversation to even focus on grasping a sandwich
That's
and
true.
putting
She
it
was
to her
just holding
face.
that knife in her hand and she was like making it look
And
like she was
it
doing
was an
something.
impotent
okay.
butter knife, not even a good knife that could defend her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he called her a bird, and she admitted her last name was Crane. And I was like, "Get the fuck out of there! Just get in your
Oh
car
yeah,
and drive."
that's when you thought she was doomed.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
If
right.
she hadn't said Crane, she would have been fine.
Oh, that's right, because you decided because Norman Bates loved to use his taxidermy skills on birds, but the reason he kills her is because he associates her with birds.
No, I just thought that was like not a helpful way to end that conversation.
Sure.
Like honestly.
She was bad at criming
Oh.
and sandwich eating, apparently.
And she was
Oh.
gonna turn herself in and figure out how to make up that $700.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She had to do the math on a sheet of paper.
Oh,
to
yeah.
figure out how
That
much
she then got
money
very
she-
upset about and
Yeah.
tore up and flushed down the toilet. Oh, flush fact. Didn't you say that this
Oh,
was like
yeah.
the first
This was the first American movie to show a toilet, let alone one flushing.
Oh, it's amazing.
And audiences were very upset.
That is my favorite fact in the world.
Crazy.
I love the idea of someone saying like, "Mother, can we go see the new Hitchcock movie?" It's like, no, I've heard there's a deviant toilet scene in this film.
And now my big complaint about a lot of independent films is that they feature people either sitting on toilets or toilets like an inordinate amount of the time. Like there's so many small short films that start with somebody waking up,
Mhm.
brushing their teeth, and sitting on the toilet.
Mhm.
It's like this is no longer revolutionary.
Would you
This
say
is just somebody sitting on the
this
toilet.
is another thing that Hitchcock did first? Are toilets now the naked lady stand-ins of 2017 indie film?
Yeah, I guess so.
He's done it all.
He's done
What's
it all.
left to do
He's
with
done it
film?
all.
There is
He's-
nothing left to do.
Nothing.
Pack it up, everybody.
Yeah,
Stop making movies.
stop it.
That's like
We're
might
all
as
just
well.
gonna watch old ones anyway.
Yeah,
We're
right.
all just gonna watch stupid baking shows that have no
Yeah.
merit.
That's actually probably true
Yeah.
Yeah,
in this day and age.
I shouldn't be rewarding them, but they're so fun.
Is there a toilet in it?
No, I'm just precocious children drinking milk.
Children drinking milk is fine. It's talking about in the dark, standing in the middle of the room.
Sure.
Yeah. My kid drinks milk all the time. He's
Okay.
fine, he's a kid.
Okay, all right. Sure.
But do you always, like, when you pour him a glass of milk, do you always make a show of being like, no, thanks. I don't want any.
Daddy milk? No.
No.
Milk is not for adults.
Certainly not for men.
Great.
All right.
Come at me, milk industry.
Oh,
They will.
Whole
Oh,
industry.
they
will.
absolutely will. That is why do you think most Midwestern adults still drink milk?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All the smoke
I
mustache ads.
Mhm.
so appreciate how strong the dairy industry is that we live in a state where you can drive with no helmet as fast as you want on any motorcycle in the state
Mhm.
because it's nobody's business. But if you want to buy a quart of raw milk, forget about it.
Yeah.
You're under arrest.
Really?
No, but they have done raids.
What?
Yes.
Of like raw milk houses?
Yes.
That's
And
amazing.
did they like bust them up like speakeasy time?
Oh yeah.
A bunch of like burly men with mustaches and suspenders and sledgehammers breaking milk tanks.
They probably just like force pasteurize it. I don't
That'd
know.
be awesome if a bunch of burly dudes came in with like irradiator guns and just like zapped all the barrels. That'd be incredible.
Louis Pasteur sends his regards.
This is the episode about the movie Psycho, if anyone's forgotten.
Yeah. I guess we've run out of things to say about this movie.
Oh, I did just write down the word thirsteroony.
Who
Yeah,
said that?
The creepy dude.
Oh,
the
yeah, Skeevy Cowboy.
Skeevy Cowboy.
Use the word thirsteroony.
That was amazing.
He was horrible. He started out bad and then he just got progressively more heinously insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess time went on.
Yeah, because first he was just like super capitalist cowboy. Then
Yep.
he was creep supreme on Marion. And then he clearly was like a dick to her boss too. Like you could tell like it was very much a power play. It's like, we're going to get drunk tonight, right, guy? Thirsteroony or
And
whatever.
he's probably gonna like force him to take him to some like.
Brothel?
Oh,
Yeah,
for
brothel.
sure.
Yeah.
That was for sure.
It's like, where's a fine capitalist cowboy have a little fun around
Let's
here?
go to the cat house.
Right outside of Phoenix, Arizona, Thursday, December 20th.
Oh yeah, he wants to take Marion to Las Vegas.
Oh,
Ugh,
yeah.
He's so
Ooh,
gross.
creep supreme.
He's the worst.
At least he bought his
Thirsteroony.
daughter a house, though, right?
No, she's getting married at 18 to get out of his house.
Oh, yeah, that's clearly a power play on his part, too.
Gross.
It's like, I gave you a house.
I put peepholes in all the rooms.
Oh,
Ugh.
why?
Ugh.
Just because that's this kind of movie.
All right, that's fair.
I don't know.
Psycho, men are the worst.
Yeah.
that should have been the title.
Mhm.
I do, as I was thinking about this movie and thinking about how we were gonna say Creep Supreme, I wish we had started cataloging those and then we could do like a Creep Supreme power rankings.
Ooh,
every
yeah.
time.
Oh,
I'll do it.
yeah.
Great.
I mean, so
Hey, Totes, see if you can beat Dan to cataloging all of our Creep
Yeah,
Supremes.
I would encourage you to try to beat me because it will probably take a while.
well, there's that one guy in Con Air. There are a bunch of creeps.
I was gonna say like most of the plane is Creep Supreme.
We'll send you 5 stickers.
Sure,
Oh,
Ooh,
that's a lot of stickers.
that's a lot of stickers.
One
that's like
sticker.
a good portion.
What-
of our-
what happened?
Come on.
I thought you said it was too many stickers.
No, we were saying that's just a lot.
Oh, okay.
That
I mean,
sounds like an
We're
enticing...
trying to hype up the pitch. We're like California Charlie.
5 stickers. Another way you can get a sticker is to subscribe to our Patreon at the $5
level.
That's
Or
or
our
more.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems right.
Anyway,
Listen, guys,
I love Creep Supremes.
we just review movies, but mostly talk about dairy products.
Yeah.
Or friends.
Or friends.
Like, be prepared. If this is your first episode,
Doesn't Joey drink a lot of milk?
I don't
Is that
know.
a thing? I don't remember.
Well, find out sometime.
Yeah, if you get us up to $1,000 a month,
Yeah.
and we get to whatever episode that is, and then we'll see if Sheldon also drinks a lot of milk.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
$2,000 a month.
Yeah, it is gross. Thank you.
I made a shocked face.
Yeah.
$2,000 a month will make Dan drink a glass of milk before every podcast.
Every podcast?
yes.
Oh, that's mean.
I'll do that at $2,000.
All right, you heard it here first.
We'll live Instagram it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'll have to figure out how to do that first.
We got time, presumably.
Yeah. Unless this is what really makes people like just open up their wallets, like we got to get that guy to drink milk.
It's good for his bones.
Yeah. Needs more calcium in his
I
diet.
probably do.
You should. I mean, it's humans are one of the only mammals that even continue to drink milk after their childhood. So there's a lot of controversial evidence of whether or not it's actually a useful thing for your bone structure to continue to drink milk. Just get calcium from leafy greens and other legumes or whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't matter.
We're going to cut this out of the podcast.
We can't. Like, half the recording is about milk now. This is the show.
It's not the show we wanted.
No.
But it's a show
It's the show we got.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like you go in.
You release with the podcast you have, not the podcast you want.
Exactly. You go into a podcast, you listen to a podcast, you think like, oh, okay, this is about the movie Psycho. And the movie Psycho goes on a little story arc and is driving across the desert and finally ends up at a strange hotel. And then suddenly, halfway through the movie, shocker of all shockers, suddenly the podcast is just about milk for 25 minutes.
Yeah. I should follow up on. Now I'm feeling bad that my son is going to listen to this and think that I would be creeped out by him. I love you.
Oh.
Even if you're drinking milk
Oh.
in the dark, petting the cat, staring at the place I am about to occupy. I still love you.
Aww.
Before we. Before we get to our final ratings of the movie. We like to do a reader review of our podcast and the impression of a character from this movie.
Yes.
Dan was actively working on the sheriff during the movie, which had an adorable and delightful accent, but there's no reviews, so too bad.
It's all for me.
Oh,
It's
no.
just for me.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Yep.
Wow.
So if you want a review read,
Yeah.
which is a fun part of this podcast,
Yeah.
That we like to do.
We love doing it.
write a GD review on iTunes or anywhere else, but you have to tell us that you wrote it anywhere else because we will not check.
Write a review about milk and just post it on our podcast.
Yes. I would love that.
Please do that.
Please.
Honestly,
5 stars.
Please defend milk on our iTunes page. That would be amazing.
yeah, I will read it gladly.
Oh.
So, Dan, you gave this movie 4 Crimer Hotels
Yep.
because you thought society said it was good,
Yep.
and you remembered it being good, and
Yeah.
you thought it would be good.
Yeah. I had a great time. 5 crime hotels.
Oh.
Beth, you also gave it 5 Crimer Hotels
Mm-hmm.
because you really like Hitchcock.
Yep. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. Well acted. Even better than I remember.
Mm.
I would give it more than 5 if I could.
What?
Wow.
But you can.
But I can't. And
Would you say 5 crime hotels and a crimer house up the road?
Yeah.
Great. I gave it 4 Worried About Black and White Prejudice, which
Yeah.
I didn't have. In
Ooh.
fact, I didn't
Wow.
even think about it being black and white the entire movie, except
Wow.
when I was like, chocolate sauce,
Oh,
because
sure.
black and white. And then also people's clothes were like all beige looking. And I was like, oh, it would be a lot different to pick clothes knowing that they would be in black and white.
Totally.
Mhm.
Like costuming's a whole different bag,
yeah.
right? It's
For
like,
sure.
Apparently, I Love Lucy, the set and all the costumes were black and white in variations.
ah,
Oh, like in real life?
Yeah.
Oh.
Weird.
that'd
But
be
you know
wild
what?
to see color video
I
of
have
that.
already given 2 facts on this podcast that turned out to not be true. So I don't know.
All right.
Maybe not.
Look it up. Tweet at us. What that Lucy
Lucy
color clothes.
Close.
Lucy.
Lucy. What that Lucy?
What that Lucy costume color?
Color scheme.
I don't know.
.com.
Hashtag you got some splaining to do.
No.
Color clothes.
Yeah. What's the hashtag where people have a better one? Oh, something hole?
Oh.
Salad hole.
Salad hole. Salad hole.
Yeah. Hashtag salad hole. And then do a better hashtag.
Yeah.
But let's bump it up 5. This movie is great.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better than this is the first time where I watched it where I felt like I could identify good acting.
Yeah.
And then I did that.
Uh-huh.
So it made you feel smart and good.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess.
I
Yeah.
get that. I
So
get
you
that.
made it about you, and
Yep.
that's
I'm a white man in America. What else am I going to
I mean, I said that in a teasing way, but I also give this a 5.
Oh.
In part because I think that Hitchcock makes you, the audience, feel smart because you do notice things because he makes you notice them and you're like, oh, look how perceptive I am. So then when he takes you by surprise, you're all the more like shocked because you had all this fabulous insight based on the things he had already shown you, but you weren't consciously aware he was showing you.
Sure.
Anyway, I mean, I don't know. Once again, I feel like a dum-dum. Like, oh yeah, Alfred Hitchcock, pretty good.
I know. Hey guys, I don't know if you've heard.
But yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I did one more thought because that's how I do things. It was wild to think about people watching this movie the first time and not knowing that he's his mother. Like, I don't think I've ever viewed the movie and not known that.
Yeah, me too. It's gotta be crazy.
That'd be like a wild. And I was trying to think at what point you figure it out. Normally in the movie, is it when the sheriff literally says like his mother's been dead for 10 years, but then there's the shot of him coming down the stairs with her, so then we're still led to believe that
maybe she's
not dead.
I think it's like, oh, so what's the deal?
She faked her death.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's not not till the end
it's
when
literally
it's like,
when she turns around in the chair. That's supposed to be like,
holy
what?
shit.
Yeah, and then people's brains explode.
No, that had to have been fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's like reading Dracula. I think about that time whenever I read Dracula. It's like people didn't know vampires really, unless you were like a weird Eastern European folklore enthusiast. Because that was not the first, as we've talked about, not the first vampire novel in Western society, but the first major one that really brought it. I don't know. Now it's like vampires. Who cares? They're everywhere. But then it's like, oh shit, it could suck your blood and turn into a bat.
I still, like, for years and years, I watched one, like, cut-rate, crappy Dracula movie. And in it, the woman is lying there, and once again, very sexualized, but whatever. She's lying in bed.
Well, that's extra true for vampires.
Yes. And her neck is just totally exposed and to the right, and she's lying in this bed in, like, this white nightgown. And the vampire comes in and, like, bites her neck. And I remember making a vow, and I was probably, like, 6 years old, that I was like, oh, you should just cover up your neck when you sleep. So for many years, I would just tuck the sheet right under my chin line. I was like, come at me, vampires. I'm way ahead of you. And that's how I slept for years.
Wow.
Like, I forgot why I was doing that when I was in high school. I think I still did it in college.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have just not invited them in.
That wasn't a rule. That wasn't a rule until let them in, as far as I know.
You could put a bunch of garlic around your windows.
Thought about it, but
until
parents
your
might ask a question.
mother-in-law takes it down.
What?
Mother? That's what happens in Dracula.
Oh.
They put a bunch of garlic on the windows, and it keeps them away for a couple nights. But then, like, someone's mother, some old dumb woman,
some dumb lady,
like takes it down because she's worried the vapors are going to be bad.
Oh,
and then all the men are like, "No, what have you done?
You fool, foolish woman!" And then it's that for 20 minutes. And then they kill Dracula.
Anyway, the book's great.
It is a great book. Go read. Go read
a book for once.
Hey, guess what? This movie was a novel too. I don't know if it's any good, but you could read it and tell us.
Hey, Norman Bates impersonator, read Dracula. Instead of listening to this podcast.
Oh, right. The guy at the studio tour. I forgot that was a character in this podcast.
Yeah, he's listening to this or reading.
Oh, right.
Yeah. How many Bates do you think there have been?
Ooh, great question.
At the Universal Tours?
Yeah, just at the Universal Tours.
God.
I mean, you got to age out of it, right?
There's got to be one. Oh, I was going to say there's one in Florida, but I don't know if they do the tours in Florida.
Yeah, but even like, I mean,
That
are there
turnover's
multiple
probably
during
high.
any given day?
Probably.
That's got to be a sweet
Gotta
gig,
be
though,
shifts.
right?
You can't drink that much milk in one day.
Oh, that's now I'm horrified at that
You
job.
gotta drink a glass of milk every like 15 minutes.
Oh
my nightmare job.
That's why there's so much turnover. It's just like, boss, I just gotta lie down for a
So
while.
heavy.
Gross.
Happy Halloween!
All right. Oh, trick or milk. Or milk or treat. I guess it would be
Imagine if
free.
you trick or treated and someone just dropped a little like milk box,
Like
in
a
your
little
thing.
little
No,
carton.
just a full glass.
Yeah, just like a glass of milk.
Or just like took that huge pitcher that Norman Bates had.
Just poured it into your bag. All of these are good ideas.
Fresh
That's a
milk.
power move.
Everyone
to pour
do
liquid
that.
into someone's trick or treat
Ooh,
bag.
yeah.
Oh.
I think it'd be great. Milk with chocolate candy. Delicious.
I mean, those are kids. That's fine.
Okay. Well, they should be kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, teens
Hey,
coming trick or
teens.
treating. Stop it. Go to a party and neck or something.
Or get ready for a bag full of milk.
Yeah. Any teen children at my door gotta get a bunch of milk.
You heard it here first.
Totes Recall is hosted by Molly Chase, Beth Gibbs, Dan Jaquette, and Dan Linden. Produced by Beth Gibbs. New episodes of Totes Recall drop on the 15th of every month. For more information and bonus content, visit us at totesrecall.com. Thank you so much for listening.